Welcome to the show again this week. Giving some folks, obviously we just started, so I always like to give folks a little chance to hop on here. But yeah, happy Tuesday, everyone. It's what I guess third, fourth day of summer, technically. Fifth day of summer. Sorry, my apologies. Yeah, we're out here just chilling. It's sun's still up here in Austin, but it's working its way down. So I'm going to cool the lights down a little bit there. I don't like the green. I don't love that one. A little too blue. Ooh, cyan, maybe not. Okay. Purple's always good. We can do purple. Yeah, I do like having the light color changes. Also, Bentley looks so good in the purple in the back there. I love it. He's given like a mauve, maybe a lavender off of the white fur. But yeah, how's it going, folks? I'm gonna throw up on the Twitter that I'm on, that I'm streaming now. And that yeah, man, like how's everybody doing? I'm doing the job search thing. Job search is going okay. Got some prospects, got some things that might be shaking. So, but it is what it is. I'm still having God, being unemployed has been kind of great. I mean, because I've had enough, so I haven't really had to stress about the money too much. But gosh, it's just taking a break. I didn't realize like how burned out I was, even though like I wasn't the most burned out I've ever been. I was still pretty burned out. And so like taking a break to do some of my own projects, get into like, some videography and cinematography, some learning Adobe Suite stuff and like that, just stuff about video production and grabbing some images has been like really scratching some itches in my brain that I really liked. And now I'm going to kind of use those for some other stuff now. Who has appeared, but a wild
Hello,
Villela.
hello,
Hi.
Timothy. Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Did you just get in from your bubble tea run?
Oh, okay. So yes, I do have bubble tea. It was not this was from an earlier run. I was actually out to dinner with my husband while my
Oh,
kiddo is out partying in we've got this amusement park here in Toronto called Canada's Wonderland. So she's like hanging out with her friends all day there. So and it's after 9 o'clock, y'all.
she's been ditching y'all a lot lately this summer.
I
What's
know.
going
You
on?
know what? She's being a teenager. She's gotta live it up. It's the
I
opposite of
know.
my upbringing where like my mom never let me do anything. She'd pick me up from friends' houses at like 9 o'clock and we'd be in the middle of like watching a movie at their house and she's like, yeah, you don't
You
need to
gotta
see
go.
the end of that. I
That's
need to go
rough.
to sleep. So do you.
That's rough.
So
That's rough.
yeah,
But
so
also like it gives you the opportunity to do cool stuff without, it gives you an opportunity to do cool stuff, but also like prep for when she goes away to college.
exactly. She's super independent. So I mean, she navigated her way through Europe like without even batting an eyelash. So I'm
It's
like, I'm
true.
not worried. I'm not worried.
But I think it's funny because like then you and Ian get to be dinks,
Yes, that's right.
you know.
Yes, very true, very true.
What are you gonna do with all that though? Like, gosh,
Lots of date nights, I guess.
I hope so. I hope
We've
so.
been
Like,
hitting up there's this cocktail bar like a block from where we live.
mhm.
So like we've done 2 Sundays in a row of like, hey, cocktail bar opens at 5. Let's go. And
Ooh.
they do like really fancy cocktails, so it's like super bougie. It's awesome.
But did they do French 75s with Dom Perignon?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, because like how fancy do they get is the real question, right?
Like they make their own cocktails and they have like twists on regular cocktails. I'm not a
That's
cocktail connoisseur, so I'm like the worst. I am the absolute worst person to ask. I like I
what do you get?
just started to appreciate cocktails, so
What do you
probably
get when you go
absolutely
to this place? What's your cocktail du jour?
something that's like a little fruity. Or it doesn't have to be like super fruity because I don't like things that are super super sweet anymore.
Right?
But something with like a hint of sweetness. Like I've even developed a taste for old fashions, which not normally my thing. But if it's like got that little hint of like little extra hint of sweetness, it's okay.
The thing that the whole entire reason that I get old fashions, right? The entire reason I get old fashions is just for the cherries. I don't care about anything else in it. Not a damn thing.
I
I don't care
hate
about the bourbon.
maraschino cherries. I think they're
Okay,
gross.
so your old fashioned should not be using maraschino cherries.
Oh, okay.
And if
What
they
should it be?
do, there's a
Like real
there's
cherries? Or is
it
that
is,
what?
there is a real cherry that they use, right? It is in the south. It is, you know, in syrup kind of thing like that, but they usually are make them by hand. Um,
Oh, okay.
and they're not those super like fire engine neon red. Hold on, let me I guess technically there let me show you like a good picture of it. A
Is it like a
proper
candied cherry kind of thing?
kinda so what it should be, it's like here, let me share this. I just want to share this, this screen right here. No, where'd we go? Right, are you seeing? Oh, I gotta actually. All right, do you see this? So it's like, oh, it's sharing the tab.
Oh,
Share this
okay.
tab instead. Oh, I like that you can do the individual tab and it keeps you out of trouble. But see how dark
Yeah,
this
you're
cherry is
right.
there?
Yeah,
Th-
yeah.
that that is the color of an old fashioned cherry, not that
Okay, that
like.
looks cool. I would dig it. I would dig
Yeah,
it.
like a maraschino cherry is. I guess it can be said they are technically maraschino cherries, but like when most people think about maraschino cherry, they think about that like that fire engine red kind of thing.
Sickly sweet.
And it ain't that.
Isn't a cherry anymore.
These taste a lot more like cherries.
Okay,
Matter of
I'm
fact,
down.
there's a place that I go to before I go to the ball. Right, we always meet up at a place called the Daydreamer on the east side of
Uh-huh.
Austin. It's a cute little place. So if you're in Austin, go check out the Daydreamer. It's a great little place. They'll serve you. They have kava. They have some starting with their kava. Their house kava is really good. And they'll give you either a bump or a full setup of caviar. The bump is a nice little taste of a decent caviar. But they also, when I go in there, I will order a little shot glass full of the old fashioned cherries,
Oh,
and I'll have that with my kava.
awesome. That's so cool. By the way, if you're into like drinks, have you ever seen there's like this mixology competition show on Netflix?
You know, I've known a lot of bartenders, and I work in the service industry. The last thing I want to watch.
Oh, so you're like,
is-
nah.
Yeah,
Okay, I understand. It's
thing.
a novelty for my folk, you know. We're
Yeah,
like,
I mean, like for me, watching a bunch of bartenders trying to out bartend each other is like just literally watching bartenders.
yeah, okay. That is fair. For someone who worked in the service industry, I could see how that is completely not fun.
I guess
I'm
I don't
getting text
understand.
messages from Ian, by the way, right now, as he's making fun of me because I said I was going to talk to you about Star Trek. So he's like sending me like Star Trek trolling messages.
Tell him to hop. Tell him to come watch the stream and send you like send you some chats on here that are like. I mean, they can't. Please don't make them too risque because I want to be able to eventually like share this video. But if you want to like troll Adriana on this one, like
I know,
holler at
right?
it. It'd be kind of fun.
Totally troll it.
But so what were we talking about the other day?
Best captain.
Yeah, and someone
captain.
else asked me that one earlier, right? And so it's interesting because it's like who is the best captain? And there are several schools of thought, right? And I wish my friend Rosie was hopping here because she has opinions, which I think probably lined up with yours.
I feel like you ruined me now. Like my thoughts about like the best Star Trek captains, they have morphed slightly. Although I like Kirk from like the movies. Kirk from TOS. I can't, man. I cannot watch TOS. I even tried like showing Hannah The Trouble with Tribbles, and I'm like, I can't even sit through
Trouble
this.
with
I
Tribbles.
barely could do that episode, the one where they were on DS9 and they went back in time. And they
what was your problem with 60s era Kirk? Like
look, 60s era Kirk is very good looking.
Right.
I
Yeah,
will not
true.
deny that. Will not deny that. But like the storylines are like so such cheese.
Come on, wait. You can't tell me that because the Next Generation storylines were just as cheesy.
They were, and it's kind of funny. It was like 80s cheesy as opposed to 60s cheesy. But you're right, because I've been on this like TNG rewatch binge. It's actually like therapeutic for me, because like whenever I'm feeling like anxiety or whatever, like that is my go-to of like,
Oh yeah,
I'll wind down and watch an old episode of TNG.
oh yeah, comfort show. I've got TNG is one of mine too.
Total comfort show. And so yeah, and like season 1 is hard to get through. There's a
Real
couple
hard.
of little gems in season 1, but I feel like it starts to pick up in season 3 a little more. Like season 2, I also like. I love Dr. Pulaski, even though I'm glad that Beverly came back. But I do love Dr. Pulaski. I never had anything against
I
her.
wish they could have found a way to have her around a little more.
Yes, I know, right? Like, yeah, that makes me sad, because there was something about her butting heads with Picard, and the fact that she hated the transporter, and she like was kind of like
She was bones.
with Data, like
She was bones.
She couldn't get her.
That's all she was. She was McCoy. She was just McCoy, right?
McCoy
Which stood to reason, because she was in the original series too. So like.
Oh, was she?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, she was. She had a guest episode. God, who was she? I can see her face. Yeah, but she was on a guest episode of TOS.
Oh, cool. I have to look that up. Fortunately, I have Paramount Plus, so I have access to all the Star Treks. Honestly, that's why I got Paramount Plus.
Same reason why I got it too. Well, no, because it was for access to all the Star Treks and access to all the RuPaul's Drag Races.
Ah, see, I love the concept of the RuPaul Drag Race, but Hannah watched a bunch of seasons and she was really into it, but like the one season she showed me, I felt it was like too much reality show drama, where I'm like, I can't get past that and get into like what they were doing, which is unfortunate, because I think it would, like, I love the concept of it.
Do you not know any drag queens?
I do not. Although I gotta tell you, so I was out. You don't have to
do a whole lot to get that drama.
No? Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of it is for show. A lot of producers set them up to it, but they put the dollies in that situation for a reason, because they know they're going to get show out.
I know. Like, that's kind of the essence of reality TV, and they'll like, the contestants they pick aren't necessarily even the ones that are the most qualified. They're the ones that are going to give you like some like the combination of personalities will give you that entertainment value. And I totally get it, but it just felt like so much reality show drama I was like.
Now I'm wondering which season it is, because I mean, there's a lot of the seasons that have that.
I know, right? Yeah.
Matter of fact, when they don't have it, like, so I'm like you. Like, when I watch like a competition show, like I like to watch like Forged in Fire, because I want to see the craftsmanship of the blade making. Same with Blown Away with the Glass.
Yeah.
It's why I like Iron Chef but not Chopped. Right. I like the Great British Bake Off, because the drama is the actual drama of the cooking and whatever.
Yes, exactly.
They're not adding,
yes.
like, it's like why I hated Top Chef.
And I would imagine then you wouldn't be a big fan of Master Chef either.
Nope. But I like RuPaul's Drag Race because it does have enough of the drama, because the personalities of the drag queens are dramatic.
Right.
But then it also shows you a lot of the craft and the art and stuff, what they do.
Well,
right?
that's the thing. That's what I find really fascinating. Like Hannah was explaining, like, the nature of the makeup that they have to do to get certain contours, like get more female contours in the male face and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's actually like super fun.
like when they block eyebrows, or they put the orange on the beard so it doesn't show through, like those kinds of things.
Yeah. I find I honestly I absolutely love the concept of the show. I just like, I could not.
Where do you find out about tucking?
Tucking? Oh, I think I know what you're talking about, and I think that was explained to me.
You really have to see the process.
I think that's one of the things Hannah explained to me.
fully appreciate.
I might just have to like give it another go with the.
How about like I could curate some seasons for you, right?
Okay.
All
right. Why don't
like the most drama-free seasons, like for certain All Stars Is it All Star 7? That was the all winter season. I think it was all winter. All winter drag race was. Let's see here. Yeah, it was season 7. Season 7 was the all winners all stars, and that one was a lot nicer, we'll say, right?
Okay, gotcha.
Because no one was going home and stuff like that. Also, it was shot, probably in 2021. It's the pandemic and everything like that, so they wanted to be a little more, nicer,
a little more down to earth.
Yeah. But it was. But if you want to see the craftsmanship and the art and practice of drag at high level, that was a good season to start off with. That said,
yeah, that's what I want to get. That is the type of thing that I want to see, is the art and craftsmanship of drag.
That said, my favorite seasons, like, I could do a ranking, like, right here. Let me let's see here. I wonder if there's a ranking app that I can so I would have to say, like, my first favorite season, top season, right? Probably gonna be season 10. Yeah. Season 10. Aquaria won that one. It was Eureka's second season on. It had, like, the Vixen on there with all the drama. It had Monet Exchange. It had Kimberly Kardashian on there, who was just, I remember her specifically because she was like, she came out there, just, you knew she was going to go home early, but she didn't go home as early as you thought she was, right? Let's see here. It had Cameron Michaels on it. And Cameron Michaels is, like, the muscle, like a super, like, bodybuilder drag queen. It's kind of cool. Let's see what else. Oh God, I gotta see it. Go back to it. Oh man, Blair St. Clair was on there. Yeah, I forgot. Monique Hart was on there. Mayhem Miller was there. Yahoo Hamasaki. Oh, it was Vanjie's first season. So Vanjie, yeah, that was, Ms. Cracker was on there. Like I said, Monet Exchange 12. Yeah, that was a great season. So season 10, probably my first favorite season, right? Then we go to probably season 12, right? Even though they had the whole controversy with Sherry Pie on there, season 12 was such a great season. I loved Gigi Good. I love Jada Essence Hall. Crystal Method was just an absolute peach of a contesting at Jackie Cox. And yeah, it was great season. But then see, the messy queen in me comes out, right? Because then I really also loved season 5. Which was such drama. I mean, just absolute drama. I love season 6, also even more drama, right?
Yeah.
And then so season 9 was real good. Season 8 was great. Those ones, like I like the winners of those. You know what I did? Let me go back to seasons I didn't like. No one counts season 1, right?
Okay.
No one counts season 1, right? It's just not good. Didn't really like season 2. Season 3 had some good drag. It had some names on it, but I really did not like the cliquish girl. Like, it was so hard to like the what do they call them? I think it was called the it was like Raja and Raja Gemini and gosh, what was her name? The trans woman from New Jersey, Carmen Carrera, Manila Luzon. And I love Manila Luzon, right, as a drag queen, but, like, the little clique they formed there, it just made it hard to watch. Right? I didn't love that.
Right.
Season 4 was also just a piling steam of shit as far as it comes to oh, Colleen, yeah.
Hey, Colleen.
As far as it comes to, like, the quality of like, the drag was rough. The drag was rough back then, but I guess drag was rough back then. But man, the drama just made it worse. Didn't like season 13, and I'll be very honest. Candy Muse made that season almost unwatchable for me. You can you can try and cancel me if you want to. If you're a drag race person, you say and you hear me saying this, Candy Muse made it almost unwatchable, right? And Utica was a great example of somebody who is an excellent queen, but also hard to watch. But so those are some of like my least favorite seasons. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't watched season 16 all the way through. I haven't watched it yet because it didn't stream it on Paramount Plus. Now that's all out, I'll go back and rewatch it. But I know what happened. Season 14 was another great season. Willow Pill, Jasmine Kennedy. Oh, I love Jasmine Kennedy. Season 14 had started the show with one trans woman drag queen and finished with like 5 other ones.
Oh, damn.
So it started with Carrie Colby, right? Whose trans woman came on there. And then after Carrie Colby, then you had Cornbread, you had Jasmine Kennedy, you had Bosco, and then you had Willow Pill, right? So I think they made the 5, right? But then Carrie Colby's drag mother, Sasha Colby, came on the next season, right? And so it was such a powerful thing. Also, Sasha Colby was also trans woman. And so just watching that season like that, man, it was really cool, especially the timing and everything like that. Especially also since RuPaul had said originally she didn't want no trans women on the show, but she could keep them off of there because they kept transing on the show, right? The first one was season 2, Kylie Sonique Love, who just went by Sonique back then. Was in the reunion and said she had started taking hormones during the show, like just for the show, and was on them. And that's why she was having a hard time. Monica Beverly Hills came out as trans on the show. Peppermint in season 9 came out as trans on the show.
Oh, damn.
I want to say something else, but there was people who came out as trans on the show after RuPaul had said like it's not really a place for it. Now she said that a while ago. Now RuPaul had said that a while ago. He said it a while ago, but still, like, he still said it. So it's good to see. So, God, how did we get to Drag Race Star Trek? Because we're talking about
Paramount Plus. It was Paramount Plus for the Star Trek.
So all right, but the fact that you don't like originals. I like the original series. Kirk, I give Kirk like as the proto captain, right? The first our first introduction as a captain to the Star Trek franchise, right? I give him middle line. We'll give him a 3, right? 3 out of 5, right?
Yeah, sure.
Or 5 we'll 5 out of 10, whatever it is, right? Middle road, right? You got to be better or worse. Got to be better or worse than Kirk, right?
I like Kirk more in the movies. I think he's got more of a fun cowboy sort of vibe to him.
He wasn't a cowboy in the series?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. Maybe because I just can't stomach the series.
He was just old. That's all. He didn't have the same swagger, right? But no, let's all
agree that Star Trek 4 is the best of the Star Trek movies.
Oh, absolutely not. It is absolutely not. No. Star Trek 4.
My favorite is still 6, actually.
Star Trek 4 jumped the shark. Like, it was good, but like they had some stuff in there that certainly
4 has so many great, memorable lines, and
that
away from them.
That it does, but also as the plot, the whole thing, like, come on, the whales, bruh, right?
But
come on,
time travel.
And
by the way, I have to say, I am tickled by the fact that in Star Trek Picard season 2, they did the slingshot around the sun to time travel. I'm pretty sure that was in Picard as an homage to Star Trek 4.
So the slingshot around the sun was in Star Trek 4, and then Picard, it was when they time travel, it was Star Trek First Contact.
No.
Yeah.
No, they time traveled, but I don't think it was a slingshot.
Well, to come back, they had the slingshot. To go there, they followed the Borg ship.
Oh, damn! I don't even remember. I've seen that movie so many times, and I do not remember how they got back.
But to come back, they had to do whatchamacallit? Slingshot. Thank you.
Huh.
Hey Colleen, on Twitter, DM me your email address or your text number or something so I can send you the link to pop in here because we want to talk about some 80s movies because we had opinions you'd probably like these opinions too, because you were alive in the 80s, right, Adriana? Of course.
I was in my let's see, I turned 10 in 89, so
Oh, barely.
barely,
Yeah,
yeah.
barely made it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a 79 baby.
I'm a 75 baby. But no, so you got they did have the nod to that, but remember they did a slingshot a couple times in they did a slingshot first by accident, right? And then on purpose.
When was by accident?
The first one was by accident, because that was the one they were doing something, and gosh, sorry, that was the one where they went back and they kidnapped. They had to beam the dude out of the plane, because he was gonna God, the guy who they had to end up returning because his son was going to command an Apollo mission that he actually didn't actually exist.
Was that like was that a TOS?
That's TOS, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's why I don't remember.
I can. It's so funny because I like having trouble remembering the details just because I'm like old right now. But yeah. So essentially, like they slingshot around the sun by accident. I can't remember the actual why of the accident. And then after they ended up in Earth in the 60s, and then they got spotted by the Earthlings, and then they had to go and like, oh, I need to like, they sent up an interceptor. They tried to tractor beam it after it spotted them, and then it broke apart. They had to beam the dude aboard, et cetera, et cetera. So it was a bunch of a bunch of mishaps, right? And that was essentially the whole point of the thing was that it was a bunch of mishaps that got them to this point.
Oh, okay.
It was still kind of funny.
Like corrected.
But yeah,
here's a question.
Yeah.
Now, so on the time travel theme, do you have a favorite Star Trek time travel episode?
Ooh. I really do like the DS one. I really like the DS one where they went back to TOS. I really do like that one because that was a good spin on the time travel.
It was well done. It was well done.
It was a great spin on the time travel one.
It was really well done. Having rewatched it recently, I was impressed.
I really liked when they went back to San Francisco in the 19th century and ran into Guinan.
Oh my God, that was so good. Times Arrow.
Yes. Yeah. That was a great one.
That is definitely up there for me.
And then I think the one that had Gary Seven and Terry Garr, which totally should have been a spinoff series that they were going to do. They never did. That was a good one too.
Which one's that?
Oh, that was the second slingshot one they did. So that was the one where they had to go and like prevent a launch or do like something like that. And then it had the person, the antagonist, who's actually not an antagonist, was Gary Seven, and they had a secretary who was played by Terry Garr. Just like you could see it was like the G-man, the time traveling G-man, the straight guy, the straight man, and then you had Terry Garr, who was kind of like a little bit of trying to hippie free love generation thing, but also still like the ditzy kind of secretary. Like it was like that kind of thing.
So that was a TOS one again.
Yeah, that one was a TOS one.
Okay.
Like the ones I didn't like, it was weird. Voyager, the time travel ones in Voyager were weird.
Oh, see, I like them. They're like my top. So my top two are actually Voyager 1, Year of Hell, where there's the guy from who is in that 70s show. He plays the dad in that 70s show.
Yeah. He was the one of the time
president of the Federation in Star Trek whatever movie.
Yeah, he was the captain of the time ship.
Yeah, the captain of the time ship. I love that one so much, and I also love the one.
That one was so dramatic. That was nothing but trauma. How could that was to that?
I thought it was great. I thought it was so great. and then Janeway rams Voyager into the time ship, and she's like, "Time's up, bitches." Okay, I added the bitches part, but
I know, but you just like Jane. You just like Janeway, the war criminal.
No, Janeway is not my favorite character. She's not my favorite captain. But She's not. There's like things that irritate me about her, but she was also a place. I don't know. Yeah, I just like her less than I did when I first watched Voyager. I'll put it that way.
You know, the thing is about Janeway is the more I know, the more I watch her and like really examine her character, the more that, you know, I don't know that Seska was a bad guy. As much as they try to make her out to be, I'm like, she made a lot of valid points, right? She really did. Also, Seska was hot.
I liked her better when she was a Bajoran.
Oh wow! Listen to this anti-Kardashian like
Oh my
bigotry.
God.
Wow! Wow! Meow! Meow!
I just like the look better. The alien look was better for her.
Well, when she joined the Kazon, she just started to dress like shit. You know, like there was just no
Yeah.
getting around it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. When you're like with a clear lens of everything that Janeway did, like a lot of her antagonists seem a lot more justified. Like the Kazon weren't wrong.
Yeah,
right?
I mean the one thing that like at first I was like when Janeway.
Hi, Colleen.
Hey, Colleen.
So
But
we're go ahead.
I was gonna say like when Janeway first stranded them in the Delta Quadrant, and she basically took the moral high ground to strand them, but it was kind of a shitty thing she did because she didn't really consult with anybody.
No, that was in fact the closest thing to that was the closest thing to a moral high ground she took for the rest of the show.
Yeah,
was in the first episode.
That was not cool, and I would have been super fucking pissed. Also, like if I were Harry Kim, like, woman, why did you not promote me after like 7 years?
Other people got promoted. That man was still,
I know.
after everything he did, she demoted.
Got demoted, then promoted again.
Yeah, right, and he couldn't even. He was still an ensign. That just.
Yeah, I'm like poor Harry.
Justice for ensign. You know, if you know, I'm saying if all the white officers got promoted, I'm just saying. Hey, Colleen, how's it going?
It's going. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay.
So I'll do that. Like so, we were contending about Star Trek captains before.
I was listening.
And then Colleen and I were having a discussion because you know, you think people have great taste, and they normally do, which makes the discrepancies in taste really stand out, right? Mm-hmm. And so when I found out that Colleen really liked weird science, I was like, okay, that's her one. That is her one thing. That really is the one blemish on her record, you know, for taste. Because she liked weird science over Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay, I never saw Weird Science. Does that make me a horrible?
Let me explain it. You can get everything you want to a Weird Science. Just imagine a movie about Elon Musk in the 80s, but he's a teenage boy. Is that the one with
Val Kilmer? No,
No, that's Real Genius. That's actually that's a great movie. That was hilarious.
Is that Jerry O'Connell?
No, Weird Science is Anthony Michael Hall and Kelly LeBrock.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I've not seen that one then.
It has nothing to do with Elon Musk. What are you talking about?
It is exactly him. It's like, oh, rich white people. I can't make it with any actual women, so I'm going to like do something that I can only do because I'm rich. I'm a rich nerd.
It's two kids who are bullied, who are just trying to figure out women. I don't know how you got that interpretation that it's an Elon Musk, rich kids trying to.
Yeah. Well, because I mean, have you Elon Musk got bullied?
Because you're obviously.
I rewatched it. I rewatched it a few months ago, and I was like, I hate this.
Ferris ridiculous Bueller is the biggest rich spoiled brat.
No, actually,
I'm not a fan of Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Cameron is the actual rich spoiled brat. Let's be honest. Cameron is the actual rich spoiled brat. Ferris's parents are upper middle class. Cameron's parents are rich.
Cameron was the most likable character in that movie.
Well, he's the one that actually needed the whole point of the movie was Cameron's and Jeannie's redemption arc. Jeannie was the jealous sister, right?
Mhm.
And Cameron was the rich, sickly kind of like do nothing kind of friend. And Cameron kind of gained his independence, but it wasn't Ferris was the problem. His problem was his relationship with his shitty parents. And then Jeannie was like, yeah, it's not really about him. It's about me, blah, blah, blah. Ferris didn't progress in the movie. He was just a catalyst, right? But he was a catalyst for other people to have a good time.
Yeah, but he's so annoying.
Thank
He's
you.
So smug.
Wait,
I-
wait. Okay,
So
okay.
fucking smug.
That's
And everyone's
how
like, oh,
annoying.
Ferris.
Okay,
Everyone loves
he-
Ferris. He's like that asshole that like everybody loves, and you're like, why the fuck do you like this guy?
Here's the thing. Ferris, now if you take Ferris, you make him a girl and put him in pink, you have Legally Blonde.
No,
What?
so wrong.
What?
So
No,
wrong.
Elle Woods discovers the inner power of her womanness and how smart she actually
Exactly.
is. So,
Exactly. He wasn't annoying at all.
yeah.
Oh, what? No.
So
Yes,
Look,
she
man,
was.
a little
Yeah, I
bit
know,
ditzy,
annoying.
but like
you're making this out to be some girl guy thing, and it's not. This is about
No.
This is
I'm-
about characters who are fucking annoying.
What was Elle's socioeconomic status?
She was
she was
rich,
She was a rich white girl.
but she was a sorority brat, and I come from.
What is more annoying than a sorority brat? There's nothing more
She
annoying than
She was a sorority brat that wasn't annoying because I know a sorority. And she just made it her life. And she made it funny. And that's what I'm saying. And these people aren't real. It's just like I love the characters that they made this girl who we wanted to hate because she was a sorority brat, but she just
I
so
actually
funny.
did
The
hate her.
humor
I couldn't
was
stand her.
fucking fantastic. It was just great.
Couldn't stand her.
And
That
Yeah.
one is amazing. Tim.
and to be clear,
She laughed at her.
I mean, Ferris laughed at himself too. That was
No,
the
he
funny
didn't.
part.
He was so
Oh,
funny. Looking
absolutely.
at the camera, shut up. You're not even cool.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I find like Matthew Broderick is like he kind of annoys me.
He was great
Well,
in War Games. He was awesome.
He was
That's-
all right in
Oh,
War
see,
Games.
I didn't like War Games either. I'm sorry.
Well, you know what? I can't. I mean,
So here's the thing, and what is so weird to me about War Games? War Games and Ferris Bueller, both hackers, right? They're absolutely both hackers. He's like, I asked for a car, I got a computer. How's that for being born at a bad time? Played clarinet, badly. Wore parachute pants. Like it was like he was the thing was, and they said that Ferris Bueller was not in any of the cliques. He was just whoever he was, right? Ferris Bueller was actually a nerd, right? But because you think about it, he's a computer didn't have a car, had a computer, no car, couldn't drive, played clarinet, sickly, quote unquote. But the thing was, and the thing that I liked about Ferris Bueller was always in some way, shape, or form helping him out. People liked Ferris Bueller because Ferris Bueller was doing things for them, right?
That was
kind
kind
of-
of socially
I did not like
engineer
him.
people. He was a
Well,
con
I-
artist.
people, baby.
I mean, he was a con artist, but especially against adults. I
Yeah,
love that energy. I love that. You call it a con artist. We call that hustle nowadays, right?
It's just
Hustle,
that
fine. He was.
I didn't want to
hustler.
follow him. I mean, that was the whole case. I wanted to like
Yeah,
him.
I would have been like,
really
nah.
annoyed.
Yeah, but I will say the true jump the shark part of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which I understand why they did it, but it was still jump the shark was the float, the parade float, right? Doing the twist shot like that. But also I liked the scene. I just like plot wise, you didn't have to have that, right? That was dumb.
No.
But
They were trying to sell a soundtrack like back in the day. That's what they were all doing.
well, it's because they were making the movie for a bunch of they wanted to appeal to the not just the Gen X but also their boomer parents.
Yeah,
So
I
they
get
had the
it.
Beatles
So,
there.
just didn't work.
But the other
Ryan, thank you very much. Weird Science was a classic.
no, you said I mean, you can like Weird Science. That's fine. Some people
I
like.
know I can. I don't need your permission.
It's true.
Way
Some
better.
people like Taco Bell and Chipotle, and some people like real Mexican food. Connoisseurs know the difference.
And I'm sorry that you like Chipotle. It's terrible, especially now that they're not giving you a lot.
No, I mean no. Legally Blonde is definitely the Chipotle movies.
Oh my god.
You keep kidding yourself.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Legally Blonde is a gem. Also, I love the movie Bring It On. It is my guilty pleasure of guilty pleasures. I adore it. It is a comfort movie.
That is another movie that takes that whole stereotype of white girl or female in high school or whatever, or college, and makes them laugh at themselves. And it ends up being a tender story. That's why I liked it, because I wanted to hate all of the girls, but it was funny. It was awesome.
I know, right? So great. And I mean, I love seeing like cheerleaders do their acrobatics, things that I cannot do.
Exactly.
So I'm like, this is awesome.
And I always wanted to be a cheerleader, so it was so cool to watch.
Sorry, but Drumline was everything that Bring It On should have been.
I've never seen Drumline.
I don't think I've ever seen Drumline.
I've not heard of it.
There's
either.
Nick Cannon.
Yeah, I know.
As a drumline at HBCU.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one at all.
It's basically the same plot, like kind of as Bring It On, except it's all within HBCUs, which I like.
Oh, that's cool.
Was that?
That's cool.
Bring It On with drums out of HBCU college.
Yeah, it is. The drumline is a big deal at HBCU. It is. They don't.
Yeah.
It is not for playing around. I'll tell you that right now, boy. You can't if you mess up in your drumline. If your HBCU messes drumline, especially at homecoming or battle of the bands, you will never live that down. You just got to leave, or you can't even transfer. You just got to change your name.
So let me just say, because Ryan is also Canadian, as a Canadian, I find these aspects of American culture very confusing. So for example, the big thing on like sororities and frats, we do have them, but they are not a thing really. Like it's not such an integral part of life. Also, like
it isn't here either. It isn't here either.
Stuff here, yes, but it's like I don't feel like it's as big a thing. Marching bands, I don't get.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, sororities are a big deal, Tim.
I mean, they are a big deal among. They are a big deal among the very, very small percentage of people that ever were in one. But for the vast majority of Americans, number one, who didn't go to college, and then even the ones that didn't join sorority fraternities, it's not that big a deal.
Well, no. Well, you have to put it in a different scope. If you go to college, they are a big deal.
I feel like they're a big deal in the States.
It still depends on it still depends on the college, because not all college.
Your perspective of what a big deal is probably different than mine. When I went there, I did not want to go to sorority. I do know that, and then there's like the sections of sororities. You know, because I was a Black woman, would I go and pledge the Black sororities versus the white sororities, or just become a
Divine Nine or otherwise.
So I did it on a dare. I went with a friend and I got the bid. And so I said, you know what, for a white sorority, because I didn't want to go join any of them. And I said, you know what, fuck this. I want to see how this is. Plus, I wasn't really I kept hearing these rumors that, how they like pledge you or whatever. And I just like, nah, if somebody hits me, they're going to fucking die. So why not? Why do I have to get kicked out of college?
I feel like this is like the plot of a movie that we should be making, by the way.
Exactly. Like I said, I think it's interesting because I feel like I said, amongst sorority members, like sororities are a big deal. And maybe even people who wanted to join them. But I'd say amongst a majority of the population, like when you say, is it a big deal in America? In America, not really, right? It is a bigger deal in America to be a veteran than it is to be in a sorority.
Interesting.
Right? Not saying that's a brag about, but it is. Like if you say, "Oh wow, you got a whole day," people they're always thanking you for your service and all that kind of stuff like that. Don't nobody be like,
that is true.
Don't nobody ever say thank you for joining, Phi Beta Kappa or anything like that.
It might be a little bit of a class system, if you ask me.
That's true. That's true. One thing that I will say, because early in my career, I worked in consulting and we had some Americans on our projects here in Canada. And I remember having a conversation with one of the Americans on our project. And she said, like, she put the name of her sorority on her resume. And I'm like, what? Y'all do that? And she's like, yeah, that's like a common thing. I'm like, what? So
I did.
struck me as it was so foreign to me because, like I said, we do have them, but it's definitely not as big a deal as our neighbors down south.
I hear you. I didn't know that. I thought well, I don't really know how the Canadian college or university system goes, but I do know it's definitely, it's not only a big deal with the major universities, it's the state schools as well. And I just said, well, what the hell? But it's very interesting. I became their first Black president.
Oh, wow. Rock on. Good for
the
you.
Barack Obama of the sorority.
Yeah. And you would think that would be a good thing. However, it was not. But I soldiered on. Yeah, it was an interesting.
I think it's interesting because like I think about in Europe whether it's not sororities and fraternities aren't a big deal either, but they have different fraternal organizations or like social social organizations, like, but instead of fraternities, before fraternities, I think they got to be a bigger deal. You had more like the Elks and the Musketeers, all these other kind of fraternal organizations that weren't like Greek fraternities.
Right.
That became, I think those are probably a bigger deal for a while because a lot of them were based around blue collar worker. They're based around like any body kind of could join as long as you met these other requirements.
Yeah.
Whereas there are already a few barriers to entry just to be able to get into a place like a fraternity or sorority, getting into college, whatever college it is, being arrested, something like that. Whereas like VFW, something like that, you just had to survive a war,
Yeah. That's true.
But so I think there was this notion of like, because like the Elks, like, who was the last person under the age of 50 who was an elk?
I don't even know what an elk is.
So that's the thing. Yeah, the Elks were a fraternal organization. There are still Freemasons around, but they're not as big as
okay. So it's that kind of vibe.
Yeah, they had Khedives. Khedives are the Catholic ones, and they don't have that nearly as they used to have. So it's like, you just don't see those types of fraternal organizations anymore. And as such, I would probably say, especially as they have started to draw more scrutiny about the behavior in the schools, I feel like a lot of the influence of fraternities, especially as generations have gone on and less likely to join, I think are less likely to join. I think maybe their influence is becoming more limited. It might have peaked amongst the youth.
This is a human thing, whether it's more geographical, because it's a whole group dynamic. They have it in sports. There's a hazing ritual, the rituals that you have to go through to be accepted, especially when you become a rookie or a freshman or anything like that. So it's a group mentality, and then for college and universities, sororities and fraternities were the big thing. I mean, I was in student government. That was a cult. I mean, if you side with these people and you didn't side with these people, you weren't invited and all this other stuff, or you had to have some kind of hazing ritual or whatever. It's just like it's ridiculous, but it's an interesting dynamic to study and go through, and it's growth is what I call it. So that's why I don't know why I just subjected myself to that whole sorority pledging and hazing and all that other bullshit, but it was worth it. I have stories to tell.
Yeah. So I mean, that all said, what we can't agree on is that Revenge of the Nerds is a movie because everybody hates fraternities and sororities.
I love Revenge of the Nerds.
But the whole premise of Revenge of the Nerds is that everybody hates the fraternity and sorority guys.
No, they hated a particular fraternity who didn't accept them.
It was the fact that none of them.
No. That's how I relate to Weird Science, because it was the whole bullying fact, and they got back with this new power they had through this doll, and that's why I love Weird Science.
Same with
Revenge of the Nerds.
What kind of doll was it?
Excuse me.
I said, what kind of doll was it that they made again? What kind of doll were they making?
Barbie doll.
It was not that. They were not trying to make no Barbie. We know that. We know
But
that.
no, you don't. Okay, they used a Barbie doll and used the electricity or whatever. So yeah, but it was like they were getting back to. You're missing the whole concept, and I'm sorry that you don't get it. But that's why I love Revenge of the Nerds. Revenge of the Nerds used their own. They used fraternities against themselves because they said, well, they said, fuck you, we'll do our own fraternity, and they ended up winning. So
yeah, it was the
That's
same
like
with
that
it was the same with
Emma Stone
it was the
movie
same with Monsters University.
Yes,
Oh,
Monsters
I've never seen
University.
it.
What
But
was that Emma
again,
Stone movie where she's like she goes to like this decrepit sorority? Do you remember? It's an Emma Stone movie where she like is. Oh no! Oh, I know what it is. It's Emma Stone and what's her face? It's called The House Bunny.
Oh, I love that.
Anna Faris. Yeah, Anna Faris.
That was awesome.
Yeah, and
another
and
thing,
she,
'cause
like,
they were known,
like,
they were being bullied. And
spruces
they
up
were
this like loser
ugly girl.
sorority.
That's why I love it. It was like Revenge of the Nerds, but for girls.
Exactly.
Or sororities.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a fun one.
I was
But
like,
yeah,
what was that?
Monsters
What was the
University,
they had
too.
an HBO series about the secret life of was it Secret Life of College Girls, something like that?
Ooh.
And one of them
Oh,
was
I saw that.
I read
That
a
was
whole
a
book about
series.
sororities.
yeah.
That was a great show.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But again, I think the recurring theme is that it's like man, these sorority these Greek organizations suck, right? And so do the people in them, and then now we need revenge on them because they're just bullying systems, right? That is a whole genre of movie. That is an entire genre of movie.
It is an entire genre of movie.
I don't see it that way.
Virus.
Hey, Ryan said nerds.
Oh yeah, that guy died not too long ago too.
Which guy?
Which
The
guy?
ogre.
Oh, did he? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yep. But he's from
Speaking
what I
of
could.
ogre and 80s movies made me think of Goonies.
Yes, Rudy's.
It was my favorite movie as a kid.
That was not my favorite, but it was like really up there for as far as.
Oh, you know what?
It didn't age well for me, but I loved it as a kid. I thought
That's
it was
the thing. I went back to
ever,
watch
and then
I'm like, this isn't as funny as I thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me take that back. It was a hoax. He is actually not dead. He's actually still alive.
Oh,
so I take that back.
See, Tim, you can't be doing that.
I fell victim to one of the Twitter things I saw.
So
what was it? So the Goonies, it was interesting because the Goonies again was kind of like the underdogs, right? But they weren't. It wasn't for sorority, although it was like the country club thing, but it's mostly socioeconomic, right? Because the Goonies were poor, and the other people weren't. And so, which I wonder to what extent is that is what also powers the genre of we hate the sorority ones. We hate the fraternity sorority ones. It's like, because of the socioeconomic struggle. Because, what did you ever see One Crazy Summer? No. Demi Moore, and John. What is his name?
Cusack.
John Cusack. Yeah. Were they on Nantucket? All Todd's bros, they were all fraternity bros, and all the girls were sorority girls, right? And they were like the rich elite. So it's always like in the trope is that it's always associated with socioeconomic elitism, right?
Right.
Yeah, but you're focusing like really on sororities, fraternities, and hate. I just think it's, like you said, socioeconomic, that some people are down here and some people are here, and they use their power to put people down and bully them. And then people just, the whole 80s, most of the 80s movies, including Breakfast Club and the other types, I mean, they all say, hey, I can shine too, and they use it against. One of my favorites is Some Kind of Wonderful. Even though I watch it now, and I can't stand that one lead character. She's annoying, the drummer. But I get it, because they were the poor people, and they wanted to be here, and guy wanted to take the most popular girl out. So it's just like, yeah, it's socioeconomic, but that's how John Hughes movies are. I mean, he just that was just his thing.
I mean, it wasn't even just that though, because you look at you can't buy me love, right? I don't think that was that one. Yeah, same thing. It was the whole genre, the whole like thing in the 80s was like there was a whole set. I mean, hundreds probably movies over the course of the decade about the same kind of topic, where they were the one that. But again, I think that's the thing about that the trope in the 80s was that the people that were doing that, they were always associated with the upper crust, and the fraternity sorority groups were one of those. So it's like, so I think when we're talking specifically about 80s movies, like I can't recall one where the sorority fraternity was a sorority fraternity where like they weren't in any place where they were featured where they weren't villainized.
Yeah, true.
Legally Blonde.
That was 90s, not 80s. I might even been 2000s.
Like early 2000s.
Yeah, it might even been 2000s.
Yeah.
So for the 80s movie genre, in the 80s movies, I can't think of one where the fraternity, like even like Animal House, right? They were still dicks, you know.
I loved Animal House.
Yeah,
and that was 70s.
Yeah, so it's like it has a long tradition.
But you said sororities, but the Animal House, their fraternity were awesome. They weren't villainized. They were just going against another fraternity. So,
right, but that's what I'm saying. There was
you can't go back.
What I had originally said was there's not a movie where they're featured where they're never the bad guy.
Yes, but you're generalizing it just because
it's a trope. Yes, a trope is a generalization, but it's a trope of 80s movie. We're saying like
a bunch of people a bunch of groups or like a bunch of teams, and then one is the asshole, and the one team is
and that's true too. But I'm saying when we're talking specific,
what is the big deal? Why not? There's always going to be a sorority, and there's always going to be a fraternity that's viillanized or whatever. Just like there's always going to be something else, a cheerleading team.
That's what I'm saying. Like the thing that whenever a movie features a Greek organization as a plot device, there's always one that's villainized. Always.
Okay, but what's your point?
My point is just that is the fact. That is a fact. There's what I'm saying is like when you say it's like, oh well, no, I'm looking at it wrong. It's like, no, that's the fact. That's they represent.
You went from all fraternities and sororities everyone hates them to there's always somebody there's always one in a movie that's villainized. No. But any group can be villainized. It could be a sports team in those 80s movies that was villainized. One sports team was the underdog or the Cinderella team, and the others were dicks. I mean, there's always going to be a villain. Period.
What was actually a lot? I think the most trope was the jocks versus the nerds, or the jocks versus the whatever. Right? Yeah. It was the sports guys. But that still is the kind of the fraternal organization. A lot of times those two overlapped, right? And so all I'm saying is like, especially in the 80s, you talk about the fraternity sorority thing usually wasn't a good thing to be in a movie, right? Unless you had to form a rival one to counteract what the bad ones are doing, kind of beat them at their own game thing.
Interesting.
Well, folks, I have to drop off.
All right, bye.
It was lovely hanging out with y'all.
So, did we ever get who your favorite captain was, by the way?
Oh, my favorite captain? I mean, up until last week, it was Picard. Also, I love Captain Pike because he has beautiful hair. No, but I like him as a captain.
He does a great hair.
What do you mean? What happened last week?
Last week when we did the stream about fashion, I asked him before we got into the fashion talk who his favorite captain was. And he said it was first Sisko, then Kirk, then Picard. And Picard was like kind of a loose third. I have to agree, though, after all the things you mentioned about Sisko, I'm like, yeah, he is definitely tops.
Yeah, Picard had a number of character flaws that were introduced.
I'm like seeing them now. Yeah. I'm seeing them now as I rewatch.
Yeah, they were
so thank you.
Yeah, they were introduced in the series, the Next Generation, right? But it was so much series you really pick up on them, but there were little themes like he hates kids, right?
Oh yeah. Every time there's a kid on the bridge, there's a child on my bridge.
You can't tell him he's wrong. Ever. He would rather blow up the ship than be wrong.
I gotta pay more attention to that.
Right? The only person who could ever call him out is a black woman. Right. It was Guinan in the series, and then in the movies, it was Lily.
Ooh.
He won't listen to nobody else.
So you're basically saying he listens to strong women.
They're the only ones that won't take his shit because the Guinan wasn't in Starfleet, and neither was Lily.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday's Enterprise, she's like, yo, this ain't right. And he's like, I have nothing to go on but your weird intuition, which I somehow trust.
And but yeah, Picard had a lot. Yeah, and you see it a lot of it come to fruition in Picard the series, right?
Yeah, yeah. Which is great. They really exploited his flaws.
A lot of his flaws.
I gotta rewatch Picard the series. My favorite season still is season 2 of Picard, because I just thought I thought it was a really good plot, and it
was great, fantastic.
It was so good, and I'm kind of pissed that I feel like they screwed the pooch in seasons 1 and 3. Season 3 could have been so good, but they dropped the changeling thing halfway through, and they were like, "Oh, it's actually the Borg."
Season 3 suffered from the fact that it was like a streaming season. It was like what, 10, 12 episodes, something like
that? Yeah.
Season 3 needed to be a full-on 26 episode season, and that would have been more than enough time to really explore everything. I think that's the problem with Picard itself, is that Picard is basing itself on a bunch of network series that had a long time to tell these stories, right? 26 episodes over various seasons, per season to tell the story, and they're trying to bring this all together in these complex character arcs, right?
Yeah.
And backstories on new characters in 10 episodes or less. It's just not enough time.
But what they could have done is, instead of having 3 separate storylines, have one big overarching 3-season story, and then they would have been able to do one thing really well.
So the thing that they should have done, I think, for Picard is the thing that Disney is kind of doing and maybe not doing it the right way with all the series in the Star Wars episode, because like the Book of Boba Fett and God, what is, I'm drawing a blank now. The Mandalorian and Ahsoka and the Acolyte and all these other ones, they tie together and they tell different aspects of this story. And I think that's what they should have done with Picard. They did to an extent with Marvel too, with like Thor, Captain America, all these other things like that, and Scarlet Witch and Vision. Like, they're telling different aspects of these stories that interrelate, so you get the stories, and then they give you like the movie that ties all the stuff together.
Yeah.
And that's what I think they need to do with Picard, or they should have done with Picard. But that said, I don't know that Patrick Stewart would live long enough to tell these stories.
Fair enough. But season 2. It was
great.
Perfect the way it was. I feel like that was the one season that was like self-contained. The plot made sense. Loved it.
Yeah. That
made me cry at the end.
Andor I haven't watched yet because I hate having to wait until all the series. I can't, so I got to wait till the season's done and then binge it all.
I feel like Star Wars has like overdone it with all the spin-offs, and I just. And after the last trilogy, it just left such a sour taste in my mouth that I was like, Star Wars and I are divorced. Like,
what you mean? You mean the Rey, Kylo, and
like.
I went back and rewatched those, and they were okay for me. I like them a lot better after the rewatch.
They made episodes 1, 2, 3 feel better than they did when they came out. And I did not like 1, 2, 3.
Oh no! You're way off base on this one. Way off base on that one, because you never heard for all the Princess Leia pulling herself back in from the vacuum of space. You did not hear someone say midichlorian not one time.
But they only mentioned midichlorian in episode 1. I don't
all through one movie. Was it? Where was Jar Jar Binks? Nowhere to be found.
Yeah, that's true. Because I think Jar Jar Binks actually made like a little cameo. I want to say in episode 3 in the Senate before when
Yeah,
Palpatine
yeah,
shows his true colors of
yeah,
evil.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like,
Yeah, you're right. Oh, Jar Jar Binks. Oh.
yeah.
Okay. 2 and 3 were okay-ish.
3
I did
was
not like 1.
What was that?
Three
Was
What
it
overdid
called?
it on the CG? It could have been a good movie. But the pod races and Jar Jar Binks, barf, barf.
Why did they hate on Anakin so bad? I mean, I liked Hayden Christensen.
So I Hayden Christensen did a good job acting the role that he was given, right?
Oh, of whiny
They made Anakin whiny, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I will say that the Anakin that they should have done is the Anakin in Clone Wars, like the animated series.
Oh, I never saw that.
That was a much better Anakin. Hayden Christensen was still the voice actor, right?
Was he really?
Yeah,
Oh,
as far as I know, I think it was.
nice.
But that Anakin made so much more sense for who Darth Vader became than the whiny Anakin that you had in episode.
I mean, if you go back, I mean, I love Mark Hamill, but Luke Skywalker was pretty whiny.
Oh, very whiny.
He was whiny too. Oh my god.
He was whiny. He was whiny in his last movie.
Yeah, except he was a whiny old man.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Oh, you mean in the last what is it? The Last Jedi?
Last Jedi, yeah.
Yeah.
He was whiny then too, right?
Yeah.
The ancient texts. When you like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
But I feel like first of all, the amount of money that Disney's willing to spend on telling these stories could better serve
Disney, Ryan says.
could have better served what they were trying to do with Picard. Because it would have been great to tie together a lot of these early series because the characters overlap, and sometimes they met each other in a movie, they made a cameo, right? But like bringing together like 7 of 9 with Picard, both former Borg.
I love that so much because I love 7 of 9 so much, and it was such a great pairing.
Yes, that should have happened 10 years ago.
Oh my god, for real, and we need more of her backstory. Like I really want to know like what happened after Voyager made it back home. What happened to some of the characters, maybe all of the characters? Like that would be fun.
You know what I want to see? I want to see a movie of the trial of Admiral Admiral Janeway for war
crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would be an awesome kind of thing. It's like some emissary from the Delta Quadrant finally comes through and been like, these are the records of her crimes, right?
Oh dang.
That would and like innocent and guilty, and it'd be better if you never find out how if the movie ends with we find the defendant blah 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 end of the movie.
Yes, that would be so good.
That is the movie I want to see.
Yes, that would be a fun one. Did you hear they're making a Starfleet Academy show?
Yeah.
I'm stoked for that because one of my guilty pleasures is also like high school dramas, and I feel like that fits into like high school dramas, but like in space or in the
What if they have Starfleet Academy has sororities or fraternities?
That'd be awesome.
Oh my god, that'd be so fun.
It would.
I'd love to see it.
They'll be assholes because they won't let Nog in.
I don't know why you think the only way to be an asshole is to be in a sorority or fraternity.
No, it's not the only way. I'm not saying the only way. I'm just saying they're awfully attracted to that. They're overrepresented.
Not really. I think there are a lot of people overrepresented.
So true.
Yeah.
Oh man, but no, that Star Trek kind of. There's so many ways it could be bad. There's so many ways it could be bad. One or two ways it could be good. And I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna pull it off. I gotta see. I gotta see who's directing. But yeah, just a lot of ways it could suck. Right.
Also, I know you don't like Lower Decks, but I love it. I know you can't stand the animation of it, but I just love the homage to all things Star Trek.
It is. I want to like it. It's just unwatchable. It's absolutely unwatchable, right?
I love it so much. I love it so much.
It is. Lower Decks. It's the newest animated Star Trek series, which recently got canceled. I guess
it got canceled. Yeah, I think they're doing like this season, and then there's no more after.
Like the humor is there, stuff like that, but it is just like the animation style is just atrocious. It is just absolutely like Dexter's Laboratory, but worse.
I'm not an
level animation. It is so hard to watch. Like physically, to actually watch the animation, it's just like I can't stand it. Like
really?
I cannot watch it.
I have zero problem with it.
If they could reanimate it with somebody competent, then I would watch it.
There you go. For folks listening, reanimate Lower Decks and Tim.
That would be the only generative AI use I would endorse.
Oh damn.
Because it couldn't do any worse.
Now what about the rumors of the Section 31? Is it Section 31? Whatever.
Section 31. Section 31.
The Section 31 movie, because like Giorgio's character, like fucking badass. I hope they have a movie. It was supposed to be a TV series, but I think they're doing a movie. Again, I love her character. Oh no! Tell me why you don't like Giorgio. Tell me.
No. All I'm saying is this is again one of those cases where there's a lot of ways it can go wrong.
Yeah, it's true.
And only a couple ways they can do it right.
I know. I agree.
especially for a whole ass movie, right? If they were gonna give me a 3-6 episode mini thing, fine, that's cool. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope so.
I hope it pans out because I love her character.
But you know what I want actually? What I would love to see is I would love to see I want to see Barclay's backstory.
Ooh.
Because that man got a lot of trauma. A lot of trauma. That is, I thought Geordi was the most autistic man in space until Barclay came along, right?
Oh
But like also Geordi, like when I go back and watch Next Generation, Geordi's that is peak incel. Like it's bad. It is bad now that I watch it in context in 2020. Because he's like, like again, what's he doing? Like he's weird sciencing Dr. Brahms' thing by like, putting the holodeck and then making her all nice to him and like having this whole like romantic thing with her. I was like, but
he finally got laid though, because in Picard he's got like 2 kids.
We don't know that he got laid. We just know that he had kids.
Oh, he's got kids, so they might not be biological even.
I mean, they could be biological, but it's the future. You don't have to get laid to have kids now.
That's true.
But like his whole thing, his whole thing is about not. One of the tropes is he can never get a date. Like he tried to hook up with that alien girl that killed the dude on the space station, right? Because he fell in love with her reading her journal, right? Like all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, bro, man, like
I'm sad because he was a good looking dude. I think he aged pretty well too, actually. So like,
no, LeVar Burton, the actor. I'm being distinct from.
No, but it's like why did they make Geordi so you
haven't heard this. This is now. So this is
had a girlfriend.
This is right. So, but no, this is peak. This is peak like black conspiracy theory for Star Trek Next Generation is because they didn't have all there's no just regular ass black people as main characters on Star Trek since Uhura, right?
Yeah.
So Geordi had the visor, right, thing like that. Worf was a Klingon, right? Tuvok was a Vulcan.
Yeah.
Then
finally Cisco.
Finally, right? But it was like man, like why can't we have? But it was also like Worf finally they let Worf be in a good, nice relationship with somebody. Started a little bit with Deanna Troi, but you knew that wasn't going to go nowhere, right? You know, he had that thing with his ex-wife and like that. But finally, when he got to be with Jadzia, and then what? And then they killed her.
Dude, that hurts so bad. I was like, I remember watching like the original.
Oh, it was heartbreaking.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, so mad.
Not even that he killed her off, but then he had to sit there and work with the symbiont, right? Of his kind of dead wife, but also still living.
Yeah.
That is
like, oh, and then she gets it on with Bashir, and it's like, no, like 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, they did Worf dirty. They did him dirty with every relationship he had, man. Like,
I know, poor Worf. I know, and his baby mama gets killed.
Yeah,
like,
he gets killed. Jadzia gets killed, and then the only other woman he was ever into, right, was Riker's woman.
Which they made kind of an interesting pairing in the sense they were kind of like they were like the Rachel and Joey of TNG.
You're gonna have to help me with that one because I know that they're on Friends, but I never watched Friends. So
I can talk Friends like whoa.
They were friends but roomies. But then they kind of like had a thing, but it never really went anywhere. But it could have. But I feel like this show kind of kept it at bay for the same reason that Rachel was supposed to end up with Ross, and I guess Troy was supposed to end up with Riker. So it was like it could have worked.
Well, you knew they were going to end up together because they had been together. They made sure to let you know that was going to be a thing for the rest of the show in episode 1.
It's true.
You know,
it's true. Which I'm happy that they finally got married. Even though it was in that horrible Star Trek Nemesis, that was a piece of shit movie that should have not.
Oh yeah, got married on the boat. No, the boat wasn't the boat. The boat was when Worf got promoted.
Yeah, to lieutenant commander.
Well, re-promoted to lieutenant commander.
Re-promoted, really?
Because remember, he got demoted.
Did he? What?
I could have sworn he got demoted for helping the Klingons in DS9.
No. But but that one where he got promoted to lieutenant commander was pre DS9. It was only in Star Trek First Contact that he was already in DS9, but I don't think.
Yeah, Worf was demoted in Star Trek Nemesis.
Was he?
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, he was reinstated into his diplomatic career. Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I distinctly remember. I gotta look now.
Okay, and after you look this up, I do have to go. My kid's finally home from amusement parking.
Ooh, where'd she go?
So we have this amusement park near-ish us called Canada's Wonderland.
Oh.
And
nice.
Yeah, so she spent the day there with a bunch of friends because she just finished school last week, had her last exams.
Nice.
She finished 10th grade.
Oh, she's a junior.
Mm-hmm. And she got herself a summer job. I'm so proud of her.
Wow.
Yeah, he was a security chief in Nemesis.
Security chief of
the Enterprise. So he had gone from XO. Or not XO, operations officer, actually chief officer, because he was a red shirt.
Yeah.
And he was right below Major Kira, right?
Right.
And he wasn't a lieutenant, right?
And he had switched from to
green to blue or yellow to blue, whatever. Yellow to red, rather.
Yellow to red, yeah. Yeah.
So it's like,
I'll have to rewatch Nemesis as much as I hate it. Hannah cried so hard when Data died. She was so upset. Oh my God. I'm like, oh and I knew it was coming too. And I know she like when she was younger, she'd get like really attached to characters, and so like when Data died, I'm like, oh, here come the waterworks. And same thing in like Star Wars Episode 8, no, 7, yeah, where when Han Solo dies, when Kylo Ren kills Han Solo, I'm like,
I cried.
Yeah,
and then I can just see her next to me. I'm like, oh, here come the waterworks.
Yeah, Ryan, Data died. His death is actually his death plays a big part in the fact, and like most of Picard.
Yeah.
So yeah. Sorry to ruin that for you, bro. It's only been
sorry.
like but it has been like 30 years since the movie came out.
Yes,
so I feel like
has. Oh my God.
you haven't seen it.
I'm watching that in the theater.
I'm just saying.
That's been 20. It's been 20 years because I remember I was engaged at the time.
Right. I feel like I mean, much respect. I feel like it's been long enough. We can't be liable for talking about a movie.
True. Exactly.
Talking about a movie that can vote and drink. You know what I'm saying?
I feel the same way about Game of Thrones, House of Dragons. People are like, "Come on, catch up." I can't like not talk about it.
Yeah, like if it came out even within the past month, right? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're into Star Trek, you know, but like once it's been out, you know, I said once the thing is old enough to drive, man, then you know you got to talk about it, man.
So true.
But yes,
I got to go. It's
all
been
right, babe.
fun
All right.
reminiscing.
Nice
I'm
to
sure
see
I'll
you
catch you
guys.
again at another time.
Yeah. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Tell Ian we said hi, and tell Hannah we said hi.
I will.
Diana, congratulations.
Oh, actually, tell her I said hey. Hey.
Sorry?
Hey. Tell
Hey.
Hannah I said hey.
I'll tell her that you said hey and that you sent her some temperatures in Fahrenheit.
Yeah. and donuts.
And donuts. Oh yeah, that's right. Donuts.
Donuts.
Bye.
She's like, how do I get out? I mean,
I know. I'm there. Bye.
but no, I think there was always this kind of this vibe like with relationships with Star Trek. I don't think there was any secrets. I don't think there were nothing was like, oh, I didn't predict that. Like I don't know if you
I watch Star Trek. I'm not a Trekkie like you and Adriana, but yeah. So you probably are better off calling her back.
No, I was just gonna say I did like Star Trek specifically aside. I think is really interesting that how they did relationships is like everything was predictable. Everything was so any relationship that was going to be between main characters, right, was totally predictable, right? They had like this 1 episode, 2 episode thing, like whenever 2 main characters, they laid the groundwork for that way long ago before that, you know, and it was like, okay, now I'm gonna pick up on stuff, right? But I don't know really, and there's not enough shows that I know of where it's like, unless it's a specific plot device. I think like they talk about Friends, and I think The Office, right? You knew like, you know, Jim and Pam, like the whole thing was basically like they were gonna get together, whatever, right? What were other shows where they had people get together that was just like, was there any show you can think of where people got together that was a shock? Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they got together.
Oh, well, that's a great question. Shit. Ooh.
I can't think of one.
Me either.
He said Joey and Rachel.
No?
Joey and Rachel, is that that's Friends also?
Oh yeah, that was a dumb plot. That's a good one, Ryan. But they didn't end up together, I guess. But they put them together as some kind of plot. Yeah, from the Friends. That was stupid.
Because I'm like Sam and Diane was totally predictable.
Yeah.
Sam and Rebecca was totally predictable from Cheers, obviously.
Huh.
Yeah, I can't. I'm running through my head of all like the old Cheers, and nobody was like.
Yeah, you got Sam and Diane. That's a good one. Frasier, Lilith.
Yeah.
But Frasier on his show didn't really end up with anybody that we thought.
No. Frasier did, because Frasier, when Lilith got divorced, that's when he moved, and well, he rock bottomed the first time after Diane, and then again at Lilith. But yeah, like it's like nobody. I'm trying to think of one. I'm also I'm trying to think of I'm thinking of all the shows I used to watch and like all the relationships they had. That Frasier and Ross put them together? No.
Yeah, I always thought that was going to happen too, but they did not. Yeah.
No. It was like I'll tell you one. It's like the one that was sort of predictable. The Nanny. You know, like come on.
Oh
you knew that.
yeah, Niles and Daphne.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I do have one that was not predictable. It was when well, I don't know if it was a main character. Remember Married with Children? When not that they weren't going to say that they got together, but they were going to break up. Was the neighbors? Was it Marcy and what's his name when she became a lesbian?
Oh.
And left him. Like that was like I was like, man,
Jefferson.
Was that who it was?
That is what was that his name? Jefferson.
Again, let me look.
I didn't really watch that, but I watched reruns of it. But yeah, it was kind of funny.
Yeah, it was Jefferson.
I too.
Yeah, thank you, Marcy Darcy. Yeah, Jefferson one she ends up because she divorced Steve Rhodes. That was the one I was like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot that he was first. See,
yeah, Steve was the one that she divorced when she became a lesbian for a little bit, and then like got back together with him.
Well, she's a lesbian in real life, so.
Oh, I mean, we didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I saw her in Fright Night, and that was my favorite movie. That's an 80s movie. That's awesome.
I remember when because I was younger. I was like, and I remember thinking to myself, she looks like a softball player, and it was a little while before I corroborated the two.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't get that in Fright Night at all.
So I never saw Fright Night. I can't stand horror movies. I won't watch them.
Oh, I love horror movies. I can talk horror movies to anyone.
Gosh, nah, man.
It's sci-fi, aliens.
Sci-fi I can do, but I like sci-fi because like Aliens was a horror movie, not a sci-fi movie. If we're being honest,
it's a
right?
Sci-fi horror movie. Sorry, you're wrong.
No. Like if you had to put your
movie.
if you had to fit it on one as a horror movie before it was a sci-fi movie for sure, right?
Sci-fi movie.
Because you could. What's that?
It's a sci-fi movie that happened to have horror.
No, it was a horror movie that happened to take place in space.
It's a sci-fi movie.
Right? Because that's like saying this. That's like saying Star Wars is a sci-fi movie, and it's not. It's a space western.
No, I would think Star Wars is kind of sci-fi because it has everything to do with science.
It's actually more. It's almost an opera, like a space opera, but not a sci-fi movie.
I think anything that has to do with space is sci-fi. Actually,
no, man. The genre is much more is more defined than that. Like Star Trek is sci-fi.
Dune, a sci-fi movie.
Sci-fi. Dune is also sci-fi, right? And so the thing about sci-fi is not just because it takes place in space, right? But it has to invoke science as a plot device, right? Star Trek. No, it doesn't. It invokes mostly magic and mysticism, right? The Force, lightsabers, all kinds of stuff like that. It also takes place a long time ago. And like I said, it's no. Dune takes place in the future. Star Wars takes place in the past.
Okay. Really? Who's past?
It's literally it starts over a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
But it's in other worlds. So
right, but the plot device isn't science, right? The plot device is magic, not science, right? They talk about
is Game of Thrones sci-fi?
It's fantasy.
It's fantasy. Okay.
Mm-hmm. High fantasy at that.
High fantasy. All right.
That does. But like, because especially when you get to like the Mandalorian and stuff like that, definitely space western. Like the Mandalorian and fucking Cowboy Bebop, basically the same thing. One's animated, one's not. Right. The premise of like kind of traveling bandit gunfights, kind of like that. Definitely a space western. There's an argument, like I said, there's an argument that can be made that the Star Wars is a space opera. In the classical style, not without like the singing part, but like in the same way that Fistful of Dollars is an opera, right? Or the Man with No Name series is an opera. But Star Trek, sci-fi, right? The plot device is all scientific, based on science, stuff like that. Dune, same thing. Folding Space, the Spice Melange. It's not magic; it's explained scientifically. Versus they tried to do that with the midichlorians, I think, in Star Wars, but like they gave up that plot device real quick. But like Babylon 5, Battlestar Galactica, all those are science fiction. But like I said, Star Wars is, it's like Harry Potter almost. It's like, I have magic. This guy does magic better than this guy does magic. These two magic people are dueling with sticks, right? Whether it's a wand or a lightsaber. Like a lot of those plot devices are the same.
They had robots. That's science. No, they had lasers. That's science.
They had blasters. We don't know that they were actually lasers.
Okay.
Because it's like when you like, how do you make a lightsaber? You use a crystal in the Force. Okay. Right? It's a crystal of focus, like that kind of stuff like that. So it's like
the robots then. How unscientific
you can build mechanical stuff without it being scientific. Yeah, you can still build mechanical stuff in it without being scientific. Yeah, because that's like saying steampunk is sci-fi, and actually I'll say steampunk is probably more sci-fi than Star Wars was.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But I mean, like I said, these are distinctions that you got to really be in the weeds for. Like, but they are distinct, right? Mm. Like, come on, Star Wars had to try and make an entire movie around them messing up parsecs as a unit of time and not a unit of distance.
Okay, so is The Thing a sci-fi movie to you?
The Thing, you mean the horror movie? Yeah, the horror movie.
Horror movie, but it's also sci-fi.
It's a horror movie.
It is a horror movie, but it's a sci-fi horror movie. If you're gonna give it something, then I would say it would have. No, it wouldn't be. I would say it's science fiction horror, right? It's not fantasy, but science fiction horror. As far as like, how you make it into the science fiction method, like how they do it. They're talking about like, we talk about kind of like how it melanged in. And it's like there's a scientific and biological basis for why the thing exists and everything like that. So, yeah, I can give it. Yeah, it was.
But like I said, they give it a biological reason versus a magical reason,
making it sci-fi.
That's what I just said. Yeah, you can say it's a sci-fi because it gives it a biological. Yeah,
yeah.
I'm agreeing with you. That is a sci-fi.
It's a sci-fi movie that happened to kill people, which makes it horror.
Yeah, but I would say, like I said, for me, it's still more. I would say it was a horror movie because it was sci-fi, right?
Hmm.
Because I wouldn't put Star Trek and The Thing as the same genre of movie.
No, but I think that we get too caught up, like you said, in generalizations, or like we can't just place them in one, but you can't say that they're not. I think Alien is a sci-fi movie. It's not just pure horror.
What is it first? What is it first?
Because
sci-fi.
It's an alien. Yeah, they discovered an alien.
I say it's a horror movie first.
I'd say it's a sci-fi movie.
Because like I said, if you take the horror aspects out of the movie, can you still make the same movie? No. Right. If you take the sci-fi aspects out of Alien, can you still make the same movie? Sure. You just got to explain it differently. But it's still a monster flick. It's still a monster flick, is all it is. In the same way, it's like is Predator. I would say Predator is actually a better one of a sci-fi movie that's scary and people get killed, but it's not a horror flick, right? Predator. Now, Predator versus Alien gets into more of it, but Predator was like, I'm fighting John, like this war kind of thing like that. It was like, I will give that more of a sci-fi than horror. Versus saying that Alien is more, I would say with that context, I would say Alien is more horror than sci-fi.
Interesting. Huh. Ryan says they discovered an alien. It's more they discovered an unknown path that led to an ancient building. Definitely more horror than sci-fi. Huh.
That building happened to have aliens in it. But like I said, it does overlap both. But then like
It does.
which one does it overlap more of? Definitely horror. It's a horror movie first and foremost.
No, it's actually just. I mean, it's more dramatic. A woman tells people somebody doesn't listen to a woman, and they don't listen to a woman. She ends up being alive. Her and her cat are the only ones that survive. So yeah. that's
I mean, if you want to call it a feminist coming of age flick, I'm willing to listen to that.
Girl.
Yeah, I'm willing to entertain that.
Yeah.
I'd say it's more of that than just it's more overlap of that than just specifically a horror movie. I mean, specifically sci-fi movie.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, but plot wise only.
Well, they all have to have plots.
Yeah, but like but what is the
scientific?
Yeah.
Movie.
What does the plot lean on the most? I would say the plot leans on that more. Badass was Sarah Connor from the character. Did we not? Contact. Yeah, definitely straight ahead science fiction is great. You're saying Sarah Connor. I was like, did you not see any of the Michelle Yeoh kung fu flicks? Like, because she's a badass. She's a legit badass in those movies.
I mean, other than what was the one?
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
only
it was
one.
Crouching Tigers. You had the House of Flying. It was the House of Flying Daggers. I think was the other one, and one other one. She had three that were like really just fantastic, just amazing.
I mean, she's good, but I wouldn't see her as a badass.
Also, Harley Quinn is a badass for sure.
Not really. She's just makeup and a bat. Really.
I mean, what else do you need? What else do you need than the makeup and a bat, right?
I mean,
That's what I'm saying.
Funny, but she's not badass. She doesn't kick any ass, really.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Oh, and what about Ripley?
She looks good in her outfit. That's about it.
I mean, maybe. I don't think. See, Ripley's not a murderer. Ripley is not. Ripley doesn't want to be doing this, right?
And that's what makes her a badass.
Right. No, Harley Quinn enjoys it. And I don't know that makes her less of a badass. But I also don't know that Ripley would snap Harley's neck. But the one who would end them both is Trinity.
Trinity is a badass. But I have to say Sarah Connor, she's second.
Oh yeah. No, it's not even up for debate. It is not absolutely not for debate.
She can kick some fucking ass. Sarah Connor.
But understand, like it is no joke. Trinity would end Ripley in a half a heartbeat.
Well, yeah, but would the real Trinity do it, or the Matrix Trinity?
Well, we're talking about each in their realm, right? Like
yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, if they're in the Matrix, absolutely, because that's where Ripley would be.
I guess so. Yeah, I don't have an argument there.
I'm trying to think who else. What else? There was Hela from Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, his sister?
Thor's sister, yeah.
Oh yeah, Kate Blanchett.
Yeah,
She's badass.
She was definitely a badass.
Yeah, I gotta give her that.
Yeah, like
I would cross her, man. She was
really not her. Okoye from the Dora Milaje in Black Panther.
Oh yes. Are we talking about Denai?
Yeah, Denai.
Yeah.
Yes. All the Dora, but specifically
badass.
her.
Walking Dead. Yeah. I mean, Michonne.
Yeah.
Definite badass.
Yeah.
So like go.
So I think maybe that needs to be the next thing we say was like the movie badass, the badass women movies that are maybe go unsung, right?
You can kick whose ass.
I mean, okay, are we talking a no powers fight?
I don't know. It depends.
Because if we're talking of powers, like
No, if you're talking superheroes, you have to use powers.
then Scarlet Witch wins. Scarlet Witch or Dark Phoenix wins. It's not even close.
That's true.
So that's what I'm saying. We gotta have some restriction and limitations.
I don't know. Jean Grey might give Scarlet Witch a run for
No. Well, no, that's what I'm saying. It will be one of those two. One of those two would win. And but not Jean Grey, specifically Dark Phoenix.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we need to make a movie with the like Arnold Stallone, the old man badass, actually one for women. Who would you have in it? Oh, okay. No, wait, to stop. Speaking of, like, how do we leave out Foxy Brown?
Wait, are you talking to me?
Yeah, how did we leave? We forgot to mention Foxy Brown and the Badass Women.
Oh, Badass Women. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Well, not really. She had a gun.
Come on, she was like a female version of Shaft.
She was, but it was more gun. She didn't really do much. I mean, Michelle Yeoh kicked her ass. But.
I mean, in a fight, but you know, what I'm saying, like she could still. I mean, we're talking about. Oh man, come on, man.
I mean, Michonne would kick her ass.
Who would?
Yeah.
Sarah Connors with no guns? I don't know.
No, we were still talking about Foxy Brown.
Yeah. Who are you saying could kick her ass?
Michonne from Walking Dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me go back and look. Go back and look at the specimen Pam Grier was in like the late 60s, early 70s. I don't know.
She just did a couple of karate kicks and she had a gun. She's all right.
I don't know, man.
She's all right.
She also looks like she can take a punch.
I mean, I think you're a little bit blinded by her beauty. We're talking about kick ass.
Wait. Are you trying to say Denai is not beautiful? Because that is a gorgeous woman.
That's not what I'm saying. I think you think Pam Grier can kick ass. Pam Grier is really hot.
No, I think Foxy Brown. I think Foxy Brown's. We're talking about the character. I think Foxy Brown's character is a badass. I mean, so are the other.
She's not. If you're gonna put her up against Michonne or Denai and Black Panther, Foxy's dead. I mean, she just did a little bit of karate kicks and she had a gun. I mean, no, there's nothing there.
Because in that case, what did Ripley have? But some karate kicks and some guns and some technology.
But she can still probably kick Foxy Brown's ass.
Wait, but we're not saying, well, all she has is this and a gun. All right, well, what does Ripley have? And that's the question, right? Could she fight
science?
Pam Grier?
She has bigger guns.
Don't need a bigger gun. You just need the one, and I'm pretty sure Foxy Brown had a 44 Magnum.
I think what
maybe it was a
Ripley
357
on the big alien will probably kill.
but put Ripley on Earth put Ripley on Earth in the ghetto in 68, right? 69. Ripley's not going to have half of the things she started off at the block with, right?
Actually, Ripley in Alien 3 will probably kick Pam Grier's ass. Seriously, I like Pam Grier, and I'm glad that we had a badass in the 70s.
I am too, but I've seen but that cut Sigourney Weaver.
Charlie's Angels. I mean, they were cute, but those
Charlie's Angels though, they look malnourished, man. Just like that's all Ripley was in 30. She was cut. She was like maybe 115 pounds. Pam Grier's left thigh is 115 pounds.
We're talking about kicking ass and skills.
As I'm saying, yeah. Well, kicking ass, like it's like you gotta be able to put something behind it too.
Much.
Power comes from the hips, and if you ain't got no hips, you ain't got no power.
Okay, whatever you say. You can't have hips and still don't know what the fuck you're doing.
That's true. That's true. But you got to have one. You got to have both.
You got to have skills. The art of war. And it's just, I didn't see Pam do it.
I'm just trying to see Ripley fight. Trying to see Ripley fight at full gravity with no stuff on. I can't see it.
Ripley was in space. She was hanging around a lot of military people. She's got to have, and she knows how to use guns. So I'm sorry.
Wait, if she's in space, she's in microgravity, so her muscles are not as developed.
If you would have seen her in Alien 3, she kicked.
I know. I saw Alien 3, but I also know how muscles work. I know how muscles work in 0G. They atrophy. You cannot keep the muscle mass or put on muscle mass in 0G.
It has nothing to do with muscle mass. It has everything to do with how to kick ass.
But you still can't. You don't fight the same in 0G as you full G. That's what they've been trying to tell them in the Space Force.
Your arguments keep changing. You seriously have some serious ADHD. Because
you're saying she kicks ass. You're saying she kicks ass and all this stuff.
Who can beat? Who can fight? I'm talking about the skills and how the art of fighting.
Right, but you're comparing Ripley, who fights in 0G with a suit on, to Pam Grier, who fights at 1G, right, in street clothes, right, and who can actually fight. It depends on the circumstance, right? If you put them both on Earth, right, with bare hands and give them a gun, I'm going to take Pam Grier in that case because that's the environment she fights in.
But you would be wrong because Pam Grier can't fight. Or
Foxy Brown. No, Foxy Brown can fight. The character Foxy Brown whips a lot of ass. She beats up men.
Yeah. The 70s Foxy Brown couldn't really fight. Just like the 70s Charlie's Angels, they couldn't fight.
Well, they weren't fighters,
but they were doing the same thing she was. I know you want this to be okay, Ripley versus Foxy Brown, just not happening.
Oh no, Ripley. Like I said, Ripley wouldn't go in that neighborhood in the first place.
No, Ripley.
She'd be scared of Foxy Brown's neighborhood. We know it.
No, I don't think so.
She'd lock her doors, tuck her purse. No, you know what I'm saying?
She would not. You should see how she handled those dudes and in prison and Alien 3. I think she kicked some ass.
Well, again, you're talking about space, man.
No, they weren't in space. They were on a planet.
Oh, but they weren't on Earth, and they weren't. They weren't in Harlem in the 70s, though.
Dude, your argument is like all over the place. This is we're talking about.
I'm saying you put Ripley on the street corner in Harlem in the 70s. Like you put her where if you fight her where, you fight Ripley.
Ripley was in a prison with nothing but dudes, and she managed to kick ass. I'm just saying. I don't think he'll have a problem in the 70s Harlem, where come on.
I do, because I mean, it's only the weak ones get caught and put in prison. I'm just saying.
She didn't get caught. Her ship crashed.
No, I'm talking about the other people in the prison.
Oh Lord, I can't believe I'm having this conversation.
Is she gonna be like Bill Burr
meeting his girlfriend? Bill Burr meeting his girlfriend at 3 a.m. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's funny because I love Bill Burr.
This one, I like watching him excoriate Bill Maher the other day.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
He did it again, or was it the same one?
I think it was the same one. But it's he's probably done it more than once. But I love to see it. God, I love to see it.
That was great. That was great.
But and I also Bill Burr in the Star Wars universe because he was in The Mandalorian.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
I've never seen The Mandalorian.
Oh, that is a great series. You should absolutely watch it.
I tried because I love my baby, but he had a mask on the entire time, so I got bored. But I love Pedro. Pedro and Last of Us is just fantastic.
I never watched The Last of Us.
It's really good. It's really good.
Don't like horror. Don't like horror games. Don't like horror movies. Oh no, I do know what I'm missing. I'm okay.
How is it like? What's the difference? Because Do you watch Game of Thrones? Fantasy? Fantasy has a lot of horror in it.
No, I don't watch Game of Thrones because I don't like high fantasy. It's so boring to me.
Oh, okay.
Like
Interesting. Well,
once
missed
you what
the
not really.
character
Once
dynamics in those
once
shows.
once you're gonna pitch a show to me that's about dragons and incest, I'm so good. I actually can do anything else.
Excuse me. What? Say that again.
I said if you're gonna pitch me a show that's so you should watch it. So it's about dragons and incest. I'm absolutely good to not watch it.
It's great.
Didn't watch The Witcher. That's just I don't even like Chronicles of Narnia. Like I don't even like that. It's just nothing. Lord of the Rings, garbage. I wish I could have the time back that I spent reading and then watching the movies, hoping for it to be good.
I never watched. I watched Lord of the Rings, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but like all those high fantasy movies just do nothing for me whatsoever.
So you're just more straight up Star Wars, Star Trek.
I prefer like science fiction, like proper science fiction.
Proper science fiction.
Yeah, not like the campy kind of like bleed over into horror or like Attack of the Killer, like meh. No, I read the Lord of the Rings books. I don't know if they were better than the movies. It sucked up more of my life that I couldn't get back in the movies.
Well, that's just Hollywood.
But yeah, like I said, Dune is my favorite book. I love, like I said, I like Star Trek. I like Interstellar. I like Contact. I like The Matrix. Movies like that, like science fiction movies. And books, but like I said, high fantasy don't do anything for me. I can. There are some things that have like fantasy aspects or elements that I'm okay with. Like take the Golden Child, right? It was more fantasy than anything else. But that part is okay, like that stuff like that. But once you start getting into like lore and all kinds of like this and this person slew this thing with that, and like it just becomes so boring to me.
Well, that's a shame because I don't watch things just for the genre, because there's a lot of genres that I do like horror, but some of the stuff that they have, some of the shows or theme shows are terrible. I go for the good story, and I'm not a gamer whatsoever. And I watched Last of Us because there was nothing else on, and I was just wow, amazed by the storytelling.
And I'm sure it had nothing to do with you wanting to watch Pedro Pascal.
No, it didn't.
Come on, that's what you just said. Like I wanted to watch Mandalorian. I got bored, not because of the story, but because Pedro Pascal had his mask on.
I never saw really Pedro Pascal in this kind of dynamic until I watched Last of Us, and I just fell in love. But I didn't watch The Last of Us for Pedro Pascal. I watched it because it was on, and then I just saw the storytelling. It's just great, and he is not the greatest in that movie. Actually, I think the actress Bella is better. Yeah. I'm not saying he's terrible, but I go for the story.
Yeah, I didn't even like the game because I don't like horror games either. Like there's nothing like there's the adage, especially in Hollywood, that there's no new stories to tell, and I feel like by and large it's true. So I don't see that I'm missing anything. I
can say the same thing about Star Wars. Star Wars peaked, and there's really no more stories to tell.
No, absolutely not.
Going, and the stories are awful. The storytelling has just become awful.
I don't know that I would agree with that. Especially like I still look at what what I think is the peak and pinnacle of. Speaking of like one of the badass females was Admiral Holdo, right? That scene where they're running and you think they're doomed, that every time it gets worse and worse and worse, and she changes the tide by sending everybody away from the ship and then hyperspacing through the biggest ship and then taking out some other ones. That was like that was unexpected, and that was
talking about Laura Dern.
Yeah. That's Admiral Holdo in the movie. Yeah, that was an amazing scene. That was amazingly shot. Even the choice for it to be completely silent was such an impact. It was such a stark contrast. It snapped you into what happened, and it was like, remember seeing it in the theater, and people were like literally gagged watching this. It was a fantastic, like that, like for whatever the other whole, like I said, the side quests and all that kind of stuff like that. Yeah, blah blah blah. And we can talk about it all day. The mainline plot and the cinematography, but the choice to do that scene and the way they did that scene and to add that plot line, especially when it comes with Poe Dameron eating shit because he had sitting there saying how she was a coward and how she trained all this time. And it turns out she was actually the badass that everyone knew that she was except for him. Right?
Mm.
I loved that. I loved that. I love seeing
going
him.
Back to the storytelling.
Right. We're going back to the storytelling, even, but you're saying like, oh, it doesn't have any new stories. I'm like, but yes, it does. Right. But that said, I can get the reason that I like that is because the genre holds on to things to make it through the point. Because if I'm going to get lost on the thing where they're like, where they're doing like they go to like the gambling, the Monte Carlo of space, and they like do all the chase the space horses and like all that stuff was just that didn't make no sense. Benicio del Toro coming in, I loved the character, but he was so unnecessary for the plot, right? The fight that should have happened between Finn and Phasma, which if you see the deleted scenes is a much longer and better fight with a much better ending, and the one they edited it to is diminishes the movie, right? But I liked that one a lot because that was one that you have seen coming, but they also failed in this because they didn't develop Phasma's character enough in the movies before, right? And in the end, all that stuff was still not enough to like. The genre was enough to keep me going, even though I didn't necessarily like those elements of the plot. But to endure all that to get to that scene. And then everything that happened afterward, brilliant. I loved how the movie ended up, even though I felt like, all right, I like the spectacle, I like the characters, that kind of stuff like that along the way, right?
So
it took a long time to develop that point.
So what you're saying is you like the storytelling. However, you think, okay, because I'm going by what you say that you can only just watch certain types of genres. And I'm telling you that I don't mind the genres as long as there's good storytelling. And I told you that what else can other stories can Star Wars tell, because it just really, I don't see anything else that they can tell unless it's a good story. They surprised me with Rogue One because I thought that was great.
Yeah, I loved Rogue One too. To me, Rogue One. I
wanted to love it, but the story wasn't a good story.
Wait, which I didn't hear which Star Wars episode you said that was?
Solo.
Oh, Solo. No, again, Solo was the only reason Solo existed was for them to basically do the scene where they finally explain how they did the Kessel Run in 12 parsecs.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just talking about storytelling.
Right. No, but I'm saying
I'd love to geek out with you on this, but I do not know what you're talking about. The point of telling a good story regardless of the genre.
But what I'm saying is that you couldn't.
Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, you couldn't tell a good story with Solo because the whole movie was based on. Well, you could, because the whole movie was based on the dumb premise. The end of the movie, which is the stupidest thing, which is made because fans pointed out a mistake in the original Star Wars. That was the whole. So there's no way you could tell a good story that had to do with this. Right?
Have better writers. That's all.
No. But even the best writer can't make this story good because the premise of the movie was bad from the get-go.
Nah, I disagree.
Like if the movie had been about just about Chewbacca and Han Solo meeting, and that had been great, right?
If the movie make a good story for a good solo story, but this one just wasn't it.
This for this movie, the whole point of the movie from the inception, from the get-go, was to talk about the Kessel Run.
Okay, whatever, but
it's
just bad writing.
Yeah, well, there's no way this movie could have been well written. You would have had to make a completely different movie about something different that involved Han Solo in it to make it a good movie.
Well,
but
maybe
and that could have been done. It could have been done, but they didn't do that. They wanted to make it about the fucking Kessel Run.
Okay.
I would have liked to. I wanted to see more about. I wanted to see more. I wish they had developed. Lando Calrissian a little bit more, and from what I understand, they're making a series of movie just about him. Which, as I understood, it was supposed to also start Donald Glover, but I don't know what happened with that.
Yeah,
but I wish because you can tell from the original, from Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, and then also from some of the great scenes in Solo dealing with Lando Calrissian and his robot love, right? Lando was a more complex character than I think he got credit for. And so I would have liked to see that one develop. There were some good subplot storylines that, like fucking having Darth Maul back in that, like that was huge, and which you got if you had watched like Clone Wars and the other ones like that, but like they did nothing with that. That could have been a huge point of that movie. They just let that go.
Yeah. Well, good storytelling. I'm sticking with it.
I mean, it's like listening to music that has good lyrics, but it's really bad music. I'm not going to listen. I'll look at the lyrics like this is great poetry, but I'm not going to listen to the song.
Do you think Godzilla is a good science fiction movie?
Which one?
Is Godzilla science fiction?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely, without a doubt.
But it's a monster movie.
It's not a dragon. It is Godzilla. Godzilla has a scientific origin story. Fantasies don't.
But he's a monster.
Well, I didn't say it's not. I didn't say monster movies were the problem, right?
You kind of did.
No.
Yeah, you did.
No, I said dragons and shit like that.
No, you said Aliens was a monster movie. It's not a science fiction.
Aliens is based on monster because
Godzilla a horror movie because it has a monster.
No, because it's not a horror movie. Aliens is a horror movie, and I'm saying the alien just played the role of the monster. You could literally replace the alien with anything.
Okay.
It would have been the same movie.
Okay.
But Godzilla, like, could you replace it with an alien? Sure, right? But it's not a horror movie. It's not a jump scare movie. It's essentially like the standard kind of King Kong, also science fiction movie, even though it was 1937, still sci-fi, right? But it's it's slaying the Titan essentially as a plot line, right? It's been used since Greek mythology, right? So it's not a horror movie plot, right? The whole point of the movie isn't to introduce points in which to terrify you, right? Which is the whole point of a horror movie, right? It's like otherwise, if you take away the terror, you get like a suspense movie or a drama, right? Because storylines are often the very same in a suspense movie, crime movie, drama like that. But if you take away the jump scares and the gore and all that kind of stuff like that, the moments that are supposed to make you scream, you don't get a horror movie anymore. You get a suspense. I love suspense movies.
Oh, a lot of good movies, regardless if they're horror or sci-fi or whatever, they're going to have some sense of suspense, right?
Sure, but there's suspense is a whole genre of movie where it is an entire genre of movie.
Horror movies and sci-fi have some comedy in it, so do you label that as a comedy?
I mean, no, because they're still horror. Because you have a comedic device or laugh, and it doesn't automatically qualify it as a comedy movie, other than having one black people in your university makes it HBCU, right? It's about what the main goal is, what the main consistency of it. And, so a suspense movie is supposed to invoke anxiety, right? And wondering, like, I don't know what's going on. Is this like that level of suspense you get in the horror movies? But what makes it a horror movie is the scare, right? The moment, the music, the thing that's supposed to make you scream, right? And not just the once, as part of the joy of watching the movie, right? As like a comedy movie is supposed to make you laugh, not at the end of the movie, right? Like the payoff of the movie isn't at the end, right? In a comedy movie, it's all through the movie, right? The suspense movie, the payoff is at the end, right? It leads you on this path. Like that's what's like, it's at the end, like, right? It can be argued that Fight Club is a suspense movie, right? Because it takes you to the very end and like, you get all this level of anxiety and the build up and the build up and the build up, right? Which
You don't
makes
think
it.
it's a suspense movie?
What's that? Fight Club?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a suspense movie.
What is
I don't
it
think it's.
then?
I don't think it's classified as a suspense movie. As far as I know, it's just considered a drama.
That's my whole point. You can't really classify anything. It's just it's good storytelling.
There's a whole realm of study dedicated to genre, to making movies and genres, classifying movies.
No, I get that, but the end result is if it's a good story. No, I get horror. I love horror movies, but I do know that there's a lot of horror movies that are sci-fi. There's some horror movies that are comedies, like Shaun of the Dead, but it's still a horror movie. Same thing with sci-fi. I think Alien is a sci-fi movie.
For what it's worth, I thought Shaun of the Dead was considered also a satire comedy. I agree, because I don't know. I'm trying to think if there are any. I'm trying to think if there are any actually scary parts of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
A few, but not a lot. But I'm not saying that campy horror doesn't exist, and that's a whole genre. And I would say probably that's
exactly.
probably in there.
Genres within genres within genres.
Right.
But it's always about the storytelling that makes it a good movie.
No, absolutely not. No, because you can have great story. You can have good storytelling in a movie, but terrible acting, or the effects could be awful. Like take Black Hole, right? You could have told that story as once you was still unwatchable because of how bad the acting and the effects were. It is.
Yeah, I always thought that part of the storytelling was having great acting.
No, because you don't have to have great act. You don't have to have great acting.
No. When you tell a story, you have to put together the whole scene. And when you tell a story in a movie, that does involve great character development with actors and cinematography that fits the story. So no, I think you're wrong there.
No, you can actually tell great stories with terrible cinematography because they did that all through the 50s and 60s.
Well, then wasn't a great story.
You're saying Imitation of Life wasn't a great story?
Imitation of Life was a great movie.
It was, and it had a great story. The cinematography was god awful.
It was the 50s.
That's what I'm saying. God. You can still tell it.
Cinematography
doesn't matter.
Best that they could.
But that's what I'm telling you though. The cinematography doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't have to be that good. It merely it doesn't have to be good. It can be adequate. And matter of fact, it can be bad as long as you can still tell a good story.
Well, cinematography probably didn't even matter much until later anyway. It's just like the whole staging of the story and making sure.
So cinematography,
because they didn't need that big of a cinematography. It was about actors, about character development. It was just like really focusing on the story and the characters, close-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't have to be about good cinematography at all. And there's a lot of great movies that have good cinematography, but also a lot of great.
Because once I make a point, you're over here.
you mentioned cinematography as a critical point.
An example.
In order you have to have this.
If you're going to tell a good story, you have to stage the story as well, and that does depend on if it is cinematography, but it has to do with the setting. I'm sorry. Okay, I said setting, which is cinematography, basically, and acting. Oh my gosh.
I guess when you say setting, how do you mean like the plot, the setting and the plot, or like how do you mean?
When you start off the first paragraph or the first chapter, you have to where's the character? Where is it? Excuse me.
So yes, yeah. Like,
where's the character? Are they sitting, or are they in a university, or are they in an office, or something like that? Where are they describing, like with the color purple? Are they describing like some kind of field or somewhere or something like that? That's part of the storytelling, is what I'm.
Right. No. So that's what I was asking. Like when you say plot or script setting, because I thought you were trying to say that setting was part of cinematography. So that's why I was confused. That's why I was just asking. Do you mean like the plot setting, or do you mean like?
I'm telling you, a good story has all of those weaved in together perfectly. Is what I'm saying.
I know you're saying that. You can be, and it's okay to be wrong.
You said that a good story, the storytelling is not good enough for a movie to be good. And I'm like, well, no, that if it's a movie's not good with a good story, then it's not a good story.
But you can have a good story and bad acting.
I don't know. She can.
Yeah, because I'll tell you right now, I have seen great movies that had miscast actors.
Oh, it's like a.
Well, I've seen great. I've seen great scripts. I should say.
Good stories with bad actors.
Yeah, I've seen great scripts that had miscast actors too, right? And I think it goes to like you've
Give
got.
me an example, please.
Hold on, let me get this started because so you've got the issue of the screenplay, like as is written, which huge part of the story, right? It's not just a script; it's how everything is going to appear on the screen, right? Spoken words on the screen. So you've got the screenplay, which can tell a great story, right? But if you don't have the right actors to portray that story, you can still have a problem with like this was a great story, but this person was miscast, right? And so I think for me, the one I look at is like God, what was the one what's the guy's name? Heath Ledger in as the Joker in the Batman movie, right? He was a good Joker. Good, it's okay. But the way that Joker was written, to the way he portrayed it, I think he didn't do it justice, right? And not that he didn't do a good one, but I could say, and to look at what I think should have been done with that Joker is what you see was actually done with the Joker in the movie Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Joaquin Phoenix is a loads better actor than Heath Ledger was, and would have been able to do a better job with that Joker.
You were talking about two different things.
You was a movie that had a good character that was miscast. That character was miscast.
The Joker, the movie with Joaquin Phoenix, is a total different story. The Joker for Batman, it's The Dark Knight, is a totally different story. And Heath Ledger's kicked ass in that.
No, he was adequate, not good. He was adequate. So if you want to, he was the only.
Won an award for it too. I mean,
there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people in Hollywood who've won undeserved awards, especially when they're white men. Like we know that.
In this case, you're wrong.
No, I'm not. Jack Nicholson was Jack Nicholson was the best person to play the Joker.
Jack Nicholson was good.
No, Jack Nicholson was fantastic.
For that story.
He is the one who portrayed the Joker the best in any of the movies. Period.
He portrayed the Joker for that movie very well.
No, he portrayed
one of the best Jokers for that type of movie. The Michael Keaton Batmans versus the Christian Bale Batman, they're just totally different.
Oh well, I mean, Christian Bale was a
different
terrible
stories,
Batman.
Different
God, he was a god awful Batman.
I
prefer the Clooney Batman to because Christian Bale also was a terrible Bat. Like as a miscast role, like I don't know who I would have cast better than Christian Bale, but Christian Bale was a bad Batman. Like he made Batman the first one was Batman Begins. Again, that movie was almost unwatchable. Like you had to endure Christian Bale, not enjoy him.
I disagree with you on that. It was fantastic, actually.
It was
great.
No, the story was great. I'm not saying the story wasn't great. The story was excellent. It was just terribly cast.
No, I disagree.
Just terribly cast. It is. I think it was like of all like the DC casting, I think they've only gotten a couple right. I think Jason Momoa I think Jason Momoa cast as Aquaman was fine because Jason Momoa is not a great actor. He's a great action star, right? Perfect cast for that.
As much as I love Jason Momoa, Aquaman is just so unwatchable. and it makes me I cry tears because
Well, because it's not it's not supposed to be. It's an action movie. It's not supposed to be a movie that tells a story.
Action movies are watchable. So what are you saying? Action movies can be.
No, but I'm saying like it is. Action movies can be watchable, but when you look at an action movie,
are watchable. This one in particular.
When you look at an action movie actor, right? Typically, you're going to be going for different types of characteristics than you do for like
a Shakespeare. I want to make sure that they are believable as that character. And
right. So you have an action movie actor who does.
And it's not even just him. That whole movie as a whole was just like unwatchable. Believe me, I wanted it to be good, but I was like, no, sorry, no.
Well, I mean,
the CGI don't get me started.
Well, I'm not talking about CGI. I'm about playing the role of Aquaman, right? I said Jason Momoa was adequate because he's an action movie actor.
We're talking about a movie.
Yeah, the movie, because we were talking about actors in the movie.
Momoa, he's a great action. I think he's good at action. He's adequate at action movies.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's literally what I said. Jason Momoa was fine because he's an adequate action movie.
Not, but as Aquaman,
movie. Yeah, it was fine.
Awful. I thought he was terrible.
Well, I mean, the thing you're running into with this is that the character of Aquaman in all of DC is terrible. You can't make a good Aquaman movie because there's no good stories of Aquaman to draw from in DC comic books.
I think you could.
No. I mean, I've read Aquaman. He's awful. The comic book is awful, by and large, right? But the thing that really upsets me, I think about the Wakanda Forever movie, right, is that Namor the Submariner has a lot of great stories in the Marvel comic books, right? The angle they took about it in the movie was great, but God, it was just not well written. It just was not well written at all, and it was so disappointing, right? It was cast fine. The stories they had to pull from were plentiful, and they just didn't write it well, right?
So storytelling is awful.
Well, no, I mean for that aspect of it, sure, but what I think you're coming back to is like you're saying that the movie was unwatchable. Not because the CGI was bad and all these other things that couldn't get you, and then you couldn't even get. You said it was unwatchable, right? That is how I feel about fantasy movies.
Okay, then you're missing out because
I don't.
There is a good story. It's just they're great if you can.
If the rest of the movie
unwatchable because everything was just not aligned. It was just.
So this is what I'm saying. Fantasy movies operate on a premise that to me is unwatchable. It is unwatchable. They can't be a good story to tell because everything else on it is cockamamie, right? It is your rendition of Aquaman and how that's unwatchable is how I feel about all fantasy movies.
One of the best fantasy movies I've seen was Legend with Tom Cruise.
Let me modify that for a second, Doug. Okay.
Ferris
live action fantasy movies, because like animated kids movies, sure. Well, no, because I would say like a Disney movie, like Encanto, whatever, like that, something like that. Can you call that a fantasy? Sure, you could call that a fantasy, right? If you wanted to, right? Encanto, stuff like that.
I don't know what that is.
It was one of the biggest Disney movies the past several years.
I don't care. I'm just saying.
I mean, the soundtrack was written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. It had John Leguizamo in it. It was like Coco and Encanto, both based in Central and South American culture, stuff like that.
So is it like Pixar or something?
No, Disney, proper Disney.
Proper Disney, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. After my son grew up, I don't watch much Disney much.
So it's funny you're saying like the storytelling is big. You should watch Encanto and then Coco then because they're amazing stories.
I heard.
But
I saw Inside Out last week, and I never watched it because it was just on, and it was so good.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. You're like, well, I don't want to watch it. I was like, but the storytelling is great, so it can't be all about the story.
I did not say that I don't watch them. I just said I haven't had the.
Well, I think what you actually said was, I don't care.
No, sometimes you're in sometimes you're in front of those when you have kids and you watch them all the time. But I've been just so in other things that I just don't watch that much unless I'm with somebody that say, "Hey, Colleen, let's watch this." Somebody told me about Inside Out because I haven't seen anything since Toy Story. Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, "Oh, this is actually really good."
So yeah, no, like
Despicable Me. I'm just like,
have you seen? Did you see Up?
Yes, because my son.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw all of that back in the day. But I was
Yeah.
like, so I'm trying to get.
I,
but they have to be good, like with word of mouth. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check it out.
I mean, Encanto was one that probably I think got higher reviews than pretty much any of the other Disney movies of this recent past like several years. Coco was fantastic, again a great story. Encanto is fantastic with a great story. There's another one. I don't watch any of the remakes. You know, like that's the whole. I wouldn't watch any of those.
Remakes of what?
You know, like they did a remake of Mulan. They did a remake of like Aladdin, but kind of like live action mix, kind of stuff like that.
They did a remake of Moulin Rouge.
Not Moulin Rouge, of Mulan.
Oh.
But I think they did. I think they were doing a remake. I think they are doing a remake of Moulin Rouge.
Disney. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't keep up unless it's really, really good. Someone tells me to watch it.
Well, like I said, yeah, you should definitely be watching Encanto and Coco.
Okay.
I mean, they're great stories.
Yeah.
Well told, well executed.
If I sit down and I'll check it out.
Come on, if you're a fan of the story, I'm saying you're going to treat yourself. Then you're
in it, isn't it?
What's that?
There's a lot of singing in it.
Yes, a lot of singing, but the singing is also part of the story.
Yeah.
I mean, wait, come on! You can't hate on musicals as long as they tell a good story, right? Fiddler on the Roof.
If they're really good.
West Side Story, like, oh, come on now. But as long as they just got to tell a good story.
Exactly. But sometimes just singing is.
Here we go. It just needs to tell a story is unraveling right before our eyes.
Not really.
It's just the music. So for me, the dragons get to be a lot.
I know
like
you won't look at them. At least I'll look at movies.
The first one. Oh no, I have started so many fantasy movies and then turned them off.
Whatever you said, I just can't.
Yeah, because I can't because I sure do try.
I didn't say I can't with Encanto or Coco. It's just like, okay, whatever.
You're like, and you even said, well, sometimes just the singing gets to be too much. I don't know. So that's all I'm saying. Like sometimes the dragons and the wizards get to be a little much for me.
I'm not excited to go see them. I was excited about Inside Out because someone told me like this is what it's really about. I'm like, oh well, that does sound interesting.
Yeah.
So
I think Inside Out also doesn't have any singing in it, as far as I can remember. It
doesn't have what?
I don't think it has any singing in it, as far as I can remember.
No, but I've seen movies where they do sing and it's actually really good. It's just like I'm like, okay, so Lin-Manuel.
Wait, so you haven't seen the Color Purple musical?
No.
Oh,
I don't get me started with that.
It is really good.
They should never remade that movie.
And look, everyone who has seen it has said it was good. It's gotten great reviews, even by the original cast. Everyone like that loved it.
Nope. I am and there's not everyone, because I've been on the TikTok series where there's a lot of people saying there was no fucking need to remake this movie. And they skipped on the whole relationship between Suge and the main character, and I'm pissed off about that. And then they didn't even no, The Color Purple, the first movie was just fantastic. I just can't with that. No.
I'm just saying, but if it tells a good story.
No, this is definitely different. The story
it could be
was
different.
The story was already told, and it didn't need to be remade.
But you can still tell a different story.
They
right? And it can be good.
Nope, they Disneyfied Color Purple.
Oh, here we go. So wait,
there were certain angles that were so serious and so poignant, and from what I'm hearing,
but you haven't.
They didn't even care about
but you haven't even watched it to see if it's a good story.
See, you don't even want to listen to what I'm saying.
No, I am. You're saying like
you are trying to make this like trying to get back at me for saying something, but I'm trying to tell you as to why I don't want to watch that, because I'm a purist of The Color Purple. I read the book and I love that.
Yeah, it's a great book.
And then when I was hearing about this remake, and Oprah was involved and all this other stuff, I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to see it. And then I started because first, and then it was a musical. I'm like, why would they make a musical of this really poignant, really, this story? It was just like so good and so heartfelt. I'm just like, no, just no. And then I heard people are like, no, they were just like, this is stupid. And then they got all upset because they weren't paying their actors. And I'm just like, all right, I don't want anything to do with this. I just don't. And then they just skipped over the whole lesbian relationship that they had. I was just like, nah, nope, I'm done. They Disney-fied it.
It goes back to kind of thing. All I'm saying is like there are reasons that you will not give a movie a chance.
Yeah. That's not the theme of this conversation. I'm just saying you can tell a good story in any kind of genre. This has nothing to do with that. This has everything to do with the story, the original story, and it being retold in a different way that I'm just not comfortable with. That's all.
I think I fall off the rails when you get dragons and magic and stuff like that.
Okay.
That's all. I don't just like you don't feel like you're missing out. I don't feel like I'm missing out either.
Yeah, that's I don't see your comparisons are just not even good.
Well, no, because all we're talking is like I have a preference to not watch fantasy movies.
Color Purple musical. I was like,
why? Because because there was a
story.
Well, I'll just bring up because there was there was a bunch of musicals that have really great stories that are highly recommended. And it was like the other one that was well accoladed was The Color Purple. But the thing that when you talk about it, what struck me first was that you said that that from the get-go you didn't want to watch it, and then your suspicions were confirmed through the. Yeah,
I didn't want to watch it because A, it shouldn't have been a musical, and B, I heard that they were Disney-fying the whole relationship between the two top characters. They didn't want to mention that they were lovers and they had some kind of relationship. And that's fucked up because that is a main part of the story. And they just want to Disney-fy it and have everybody sing about it. That's just stupid. And then I heard that they made Mean Girls a musical. I was like, what?
Oh, yeah. You missed me that one.
Mean Girls. No, I'm not watching that.
It's dumb. It is such a dumb movie.
There's some movies that you just don't turn into musicals. I love Legally Blonde.
Also, Mean Girls. You can't tell me Mean Girls had great storytelling, right? Come on, that was
fantastic. It was great. It was perfectly acted. Great storytelling. And comedy.
Oh, come on now. No one's gonna look through thumb through the top screenplays for storytelling of all time and go like, Mean Girls, the Lindsay Lohan classic.
Fantastic. Nobody has to. It was a great story.
It has some funny moments. I don't know about a great story.
Oh, you know it is.
No, I promise you. But I think maybe I'll say we can agree that we have different ideas on what a good story, what a good story makes, right?
Yeah, mine is great, and yours are a little bit.
Yours are very preferential, and mine are examined.
I love that. That's awesome.
But no, I think the interesting part about looking at like the going back to like the kind of 80s movies is that the thing that struck me when I was going back and looking through a bunch of movies in the 80s is how much that the technological advance of VHS and movies that went direct to VHS made for like getting like really, really bad campy movies of like every genre, like comedy, like horror, sci-fi. Like there was like they had some bad movies in the 70s, like some deliciously bad movies, but I feel like the 80s eclipsed that, especially if you start looking at some of these direct to VHS titles. So if you ever want to get in the mood to watch just some truly like so bad it's good movies,
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
pop out some of these classics from the mid 80s on. But
There's a lot of them in horror too.
Yeah.
I still watch.
And I think it's funny because I have some friends who are really into some of those, and some of those, like, because they're so badly made, they're not even scary at all. And I think that's kind of like the point. Some of those, I swear to God, like this has to be satire, right? This can't be actual. But there was one I watched, God, not that long ago. I gotta remember. It's about some of the security robots in a mall that started lasering the kids.
Wow. No.
Yeah, like After Hours. It was so dumb and cheesy. I gotta find what the name of that movie was. It was so dumb and cheesy that I don't think it was supposed to be a horror movie. And I don't know if it was really a sci-fi. It could be, I guess, because it had robots and lasers, but it was like so bad at everything it tried to do. It's almost hard to put a genre on it. And then that is was that
there's a really bad movie that's a horror movie, but it's so good you have to watch it. It's called Night of the Comet. I don't know if you've heard about that one.
I think I have. Let me see real quick.
It's about these two girls. They're the only. Something happens. I get some nuclear war or something, and people disappear from the planet.
Yeah. Oh God. Someone was telling me about that.
It's so bad. It's good.
I think this might be the same. Let me see if this is the same production company that did the other one, because it looks like it might be.
It's totally 80s. It's two sisters. They're the only ones. They think that they're the only ones on the planet.
Oh, wow. All right. So the guy who wrote this, right? The guy who wrote this movie, Night of the Comet, also wrote, let's see here. He also wrote, oh, wow. Okay. So here we go. Let me expand this real quick. He wrote, Honey, I Blew Up the Kids, which terrible, and the Rats movie.
Oh, Blew Up the Kids, not Shrunk the Kids?
Honey, I Blew Up the Kids. Yep.
Oh, that must be a satire or some kind of.
No, that was the second one. So they had the original Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the first one, and they had like 3 or 4 sequels, right? And that was one of them.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know about that one.
But and the Rats movie, which I vaguely remember being RATZ, right? It was just
oh, is that animated?
No, it's live action.
Oh, I have no idea.
But yeah, this looks. I'm trying to who I recognize. Maybe it's Kelly Maroney. Maybe she's an actress. I saw it in some other ones. Oh yeah, Scream Queen for sure. That's the funny thing too. There's a whole genre of movie for an actor just to scream. Like, that's kind of dope. Like, what is your best work? Well, I like the scream that I did in this movie, you know. But apparently this one also was in a bunch of soap operas. She was in Ryan's Hope for like 3 years or 4 years. Do you remember that one?
Are you talking? What are we talking about?
Oh, soap opera. Sorry.
Talking about Night of the Comet.
Yeah, the actress in that one was also in Ryan's Hope.
Yeah,
if you remember Ryan's Hope.
My mom used to watch Ryan's Hope, Days of Our Lives. Yeah.
That's so
soap opera.
Because remember there was soap opera. It was nothing but like soap operas from I guess what the new news on, right, or the 11 o'clock news on was. You had like Ryan's Hope, General Hospital, Days of Our Lives,
Young and the Restless.
God.
Like that.
And it was like you had, and each channel had their own, because I know CBS was the Young and the Restless. Guiding Light.
There's another one I'm missing, but yeah, there's a lot.
Gosh,
because still on.
Is it?
And I think Days of Our Lives is still on.
That's
But I
funny.
think they're the only ones, and General Hospital. I think they're the only ones.
Well, do you remember like that was a big thing in the 80s when Luke and Laura got married? Like everyone was like, "Oh my god!" That was like a cultural iconic moment when these two characters on
She
a soap opera
married her rapist. It was very interesting. I'm like, how did they get away with that one?
because she wasn't the only one who's ever done it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, on TV anyway.
You're right, right?
Yeah, but I love that show. Yeah,
it was funny because in the 90s it was still that's all you had. So if you didn't have cable, that was all you had. Like you got home from school, it was the soap operas, right? And then a couple of channels. But like as the show, as I got too old for like the cartoons and that was coming on like the UHF channels, like I ended up coming home and I'd put on like General Hospital or what was the other one? There was the General Hospital had a spinoff that was also there. There's another hospital one. God, what was it called?
Spinoff.
God, what was it called? It's gonna bother me now.
Was it named after the town they were in?
I think it was.
I know
Port Charles. It was Port Charles.
Port Charles, yeah. Young and the Restless was Genoa City, and I don't know the other ones. Oh, and All My Children. Remember All My Children?
That was with Susan Lucci.
Yeah.
Who never won the bench tag. I don't think did she finally ever win it?
I think she did. I think she did.
That was a whole drama. That was a whole drama in and of itself.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. She was awesome.
God, yeah,
what the hell was her name? What was her name? Erica
Kane.
Erica Kane. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so here's what's on currently. You got The Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, General Hospital, and The Young and the Restless. Yep.
That's it. Damn.
And Days of Our Lives started in 1975. I think that's the oldest one.
Oh, the oldest one isn't on anymore. What was that one? It started in the 1960s.
Let's see.
Wait, no, I think that might have been something else.
Well, Days of Our Lives started in 1965. I take that back. General Hospital started in 1963.
Oh, okay, there we go.
As the World Turns was 1956.
Oh man, I remember that. And and there was One Life to Live.
Oh yeah. Oh, do you remember Generations? That was on for Hot Guiding Light.
Oh yeah. God, I can't remember.
Oh, Loving. Loving. That was the other one that I forgot. Was that?
Oh my God, so progress.
Yeah, Loving was the one I forgot. Ryan's Santa Barbara. That was another one that was on. That was BBC.
Santa Barbara.
Shit. Do you remember Search for Tomorrow? Did you already say that one? That started in 51.
No. I forgot about that one.
Search for Tomorrow started in 51.
Yeah, that must be the oldest one then.
No. Oh yeah, never. I thought it said All My Children. It was this one. It was These Are My Children, which is different.
But then the nighttime ones, the primetime ones.
Oh yeah. You had Dynasty, Falcon Crest, Dallas. Yeah, Dallas was the big one. Dallas and Dynasty were the big ones.
Knots Landing. Remember that one?
Okay, so those are Audubon spinoffs. There's I think Falcon Crest was a spinoff from Dynasty. Let me see here.
No, I don't think it was Dynasty. That was Dynasty. Spinoff was the Colbys.
That's right. Let's see here. Dynasty. So yeah, okay. So here we go. These nighttime ones. 902. Well, they call it 90210. Dallas, and then Dallas again. Dawson. No, not Dawson's Creek.
Dawson's Creek. Oh, I love that.
Falcon Crest. There's one. I cannot. Knots Landing, not Malibu Shores. God, it's gonna piss me off until I find it because I know there was another one. God, what the fuck was it? I can't find it now. I gotta look at when it premiered. I have it alphabetically because that'll help me.
Oh, no worries. I think I'm
Um,
going to have to leave now.
oh yeah, it has been wow, almost 3 hours. Okay,
You got a lot of energy in you, buddy. I love it.
it is true. But yeah, thanks for coming out
Oh,
and
no
having contentious debate on 80s movies.
Oh, I love that you like to debate. Some people are just, you can't do it with them. They don't care.
no.
Oh, they get a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh
And,
no, this is
yeah.
I always try and keep it. Yeah, I'll keep it spicy but respectable, or
I like
respectful.
I'm going to try to
Um,
keep pushing your buttons, though. I love it. You do the same with me.
yeah, we'll see how it goes. My buttons are so hard to put, or no, it's not my buttons are so hard to push. Now, ever since TMS, you push my button, nothing happens. Like it's like okay.
How's everything going? I mean, I know that I don't know if you want to do this on Twitch, though.
Oh yeah, why not? Why not?
Is everything okay with the search? You good?
I mean, I've had some very surprising like thanks but no thanks, but I also have some good leads. So
Good.
I've a couple of things maybe on a contract side, a couple of things on some full-time side, but I feel good about where things are right now, and I'm pie in the sky. I feel like I could have something by the end of July. But also I haven't really started a serious search for the past like month to 6 weeks, because I was surprised enough to find out after I laid off that I was actually burned out, because it's like I didn't even really want to look or work. And then I found myself like now having I got the taste again. I got okay, I want to do some stuff again, which is how I know like, yeah, I'm ready now. So how are you doing?
I'm doing better. It was getting a little scary. I got some good leads that I'm going to follow up on this week. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, I didn't expect it to last this long.
It is wild, and I know a lot of folks who are in this situation. And there's one thing I can circle, and I don't want to circle it, but it definitely feels like folks between that age of like 45 and maybe 55 are all having like similar issues and stories. I'm like, oh
no, it's very true. We're fighting harder, especially if you're a woman and you're a person of color.
Mm-hmm.
And older, it's just even harder. And yeah.
But
I'm
we'll get there.
Too pissed off by some of these Hunger Games types of deals that they're going on. Hey, that last one that I had, I wrote them a 6-month strategy, which was kick ass, and we're putting it on pause. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. We can talk about that one when it's not recorded sometime. You joined an illustrious and well-respected alumni.
I had no idea that it would get that bad, and that was a letdown this week. But I tried not to get it too in my head about it. So, but I'll keep you posted. Okay?
Yeah, let me and I will do the same for you.
All right.
Awesome. You take care. It's good.
Okay.
Good seeing everybody.
How do I get out?